4 years away from the race he once dominated. 7-time Tour de France champion Lance Armstrong put power to pedal on yesterday's Stage 1 time trial. Finishing in the 10th spot, he proved he's back in fighting form. But with a power struggle brewing within Team Astana, the bigger questions remain unanswered. As Levi Leipheimer, Andreas Klöden, and Alberto Contador all bested Armstrong and landed themselves top 10 finishes. Despite the competition, 2-time world time trial champion Fabian Cancellara walked away from the inaugural stage in yellow, after proving once again he's the man to beat when it comes to facing down the race of truth. Stay with us as our coverage of the 96th Tour de France continues. Next on Versus. The battle begins in earnest today for the sprinters. A slight deviation off the Côte d'Azur will push the peloton to the tiny town of Brignoles, where we await the finish of stage number 2 of the 2009 Tour de France. Hello, everybody. We welcome you to our Cadillac pre-race show alongside Bob Roll. I'm Craig Hummer. Less than 24 hours ago, the world was fixated on Lance Armstrong. And as you know, Bob, he always performs well under pressure. But do you think he and even Johan Bruneel expected a little bit more yesterday?
I don't think it would be a stretch of the imagination for anybody to say that Lance Armstrong would have liked to have done better than 10th. But if you look at it logically, and we still have 3 weeks of racing to go, I think it was a pretty good debut. He got time against Carlos Sastre, Denny Menchov, and Mick Rogers. The only problem, his own teammate had a great ride, Alberto Contador, so it's going to be a great race from the start to the finish, and I don't think that Lance Armstrong is done with his Tour de France just yet, even though it's funny, in Europe, people are very quick to discount any sort of chink in the armor, any sort of failure on Lance's part. All of a sudden, it's a total disaster, so we'll see how that pans out for the rest of the field, but in a few days' time, when the road points upwards, I think it's going to be a different story. More bitterness in store for the Europeans.
And the fact of the matter is that no one sets the bar higher than Lance himself, so you can bet he's been churning the mental gears a little bit since yesterday's finish. Well, let's take you to the Wells Fargo highlights of stage number 1. It was all Astana, it seemed, from the get-go. Lance only 18th out of the start house, but he set the top times at both the halfway point on Beausoleil and at the finish, Bob.
A little bit of strategizing on the part of Team Astana that might not have worked out, expecting bad weather at the end of the day did not materialize. Anyhow, Lance Armstrong put at the beginning of the start order, set the fastest time out on the course, and that would be eclipsed by 9 guys, but a great start of the Tour de France for Lance Armstrong.
And as you pick apart his run, so to speak, at the line, I mean, very good, or solid at least, ascending as well as descending.
I think you can't really take a lot away from Lance's effort in a 15-kilometer race. He had a great descent, very smooth. Levi Leipheimer, he had a very powerful climb. He was a little bit slower than the fastest time, but unleashed everything on the descent. Very smooth all the way to the finish line. Levi, a great stage 1 time trial for the American.
For Team Astana as well, perhaps the quietest of the 4 Musketeers, German Andreas Klöden. He was flying at a number of points.
Well, it's easy to forget this man. He has had great results, however, in the past when he's done the Tour de France, and he had a great stage 1 TT, led for most of the race.
And speaking of leading, it would be their designated leader, according to Johan Bruneel, Alberto Contador, the last of Team Astana to leave the start house.
He is absolutely flying on the climb, so that's good to see for Alberto Contador. Lost about 20 seconds to the stage winner Cancellara on the descent, but a great ride by Contador.
Fabian Cancellara always loves the race of truth. Expectations for him as well are always high. People expect him to win, and he didn't disappoint.
Incredible pressure every stage 1 or any time trial for the bear from Bern, Fabian Cancellara. He paced himself so well, perfectly, 6 seconds slower than Contador on the climb, but on the descent, he got back that time plus another 18 seconds, and there is Cancellara. What a great stage 1 TT for the man from Switzerland.
Continuing the form that allowed him to win the Tour of Switzerland just a couple weeks ago. Congratulations congratulations all around, as well as from Alberto Contador, who would finish second on the day. Those are your Wells Fargo highlights of stage number 1. So let's take a look at our Hampton Hotel's overall standings after stage 1. Cancellara on top of Contador. Bradley Wiggins with a great ride to end up in third.
Wiggins from Garmin in third there. Cloden, as we said, fourth for Astana. Cadel Evans, a solid ride in the stage 1 time trial in fifth.
Leipheimer would finish in 6th, Kreuziger in 7th. 4 Astana riders in the top 10, rounding out with Lance Armstrong. He now officially 40 seconds back. Well, if Lance and Johan perhaps were left wanting a little bit more, Bob, after stage number 1, let's now talk about the overall contenders and how they should feel after that time trial. Let's start with Australian Cadel Evans.
Cadel Evans had a very solid ride. He's been accused of being too nervous to be a contender for the Tour de France in the past, and that's perhaps why he lost last year's Tour. But this shows that he can handle the pressure. He's taken a step back in his preparation for the Tour in the spring races. I think he's come to the Tour with very good form. That was a great stage 1 TT for Cadel Evans.
Cadel Evans did quite well in the Dauphiné Libéré about a month ago, proving that his form was peaking right at the right time. Evans very happy about the fact that the pressure is off him last year. You can say what you want, but most people think he did and was affected by that. Evans only 23 seconds back. American Christian Vandevelde with a solid ride coming back from injury.
Solid ride by Christian. Andy Schleck, a minute down from Cancellara, but not so bad against Contador. Carlos Sastre, a decent ride. Menchov, a bit of a disaster, and Frank Schleck, absolutely abysmal. So both ends of the spectrum in the stage 1 TT.
Well, Astana's fearsome foursome has kept the team's options open, that's for sure. A perfect situation and a perfect statement after day number 1. When we come back, Phil and Paul will join us.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, you take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, you're gone. I did 19 last year, and it's kind of a crazy feeling. You got all these friends at college taking history exams, yet I'm sitting there going 230 miles an hour. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes. It's gotta be a new
Starting in the 13th century, beautiful Brignoles was actually the summer residence of the Counts of Provence. Today, it becomes a finish town for the first time ever of the Tour de France. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to our Cadillac pre-race show. It's time to welcome in our boys of summer, Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen. Today, you guys are the boys of Brignoles. Well, you've had a few hours to digest it, Paul. What do you think Lance feels, or how do you think he's going to rate his effort yesterday?
I think he's got to be fairly happy with his performance, because what you have to bear in mind is Lance is 37 years of age, breathing down the neck of 38. That was a very violent effort in the individual time trial yesterday, and he's not really had that kind of violent effort since the Giro d'Italia. And I think with age, Lance will probably find that the longer efforts as we go around this 3-week bike race will be better suited to his abilities.
I agree with Paul exactly what he's saying. He's exactly right. But I think Lance should be pleased. But, of course, we still don't know who is leading Astana, although I have a feeling it's got to be Alberto Contador. But, you know, the race is saturated with rumour and innuendo. We noticed Johan Bruneel on the finishing line last night. He didn't stand with Alberto Contador, had to ride away by himself. Is there a rift developing? We didn't see him with Lance either, I must confess. Then we read in the newspapers a teammate who wasn't selected, Ben Novau. He said it's because he wanted to ride with Contador, and that Brignoles no longer has any faith in Contador. So there's all this rift going on within the team at the moment. I think it'll come out good. But to answer the question, I think he should be pleased with 10th place.
Don't ever underestimate Johan Brignoles, because Johan Brignoles is a very clever tactician. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knew what was going to happen with Team Astana a couple of months ago, with all the problems of the wages not being paid to the riders, and I think he will come out with a plan. The problem is here, we're going around the Tour de France, there's 3,000 journalists, and everybody's trying to come up with a story, and I think probably about 1,000 of those journalists are trying to create their own stories.
Phil, is it wrong or perhaps even unfair to expect Lance to come back at the level he was in 2005?
If it was anybody else but Lance Armstrong, it would be totally unfair. Because the man couldn't do it. We're talking about a superman, a fantastic character who believes in himself. He would not come back in competition knowing the pain that it waits for him if he didn't believe he could ride exceptionally well. Maybe we expect too much from him, and he's quoted quite often as saying, "I'm just happy to be here." Lance isn't just happy to be here. He wants to win, otherwise why bother?
I think he did that to appease a few people, right? Perhaps to take the pressure off a bit. And hopefully today, especially in the stage, the pressure will be off Lance Armstrong. It's a day for the sprinters, Bob. We've talked about the undulating terrain, but it could make some riders uncomfortable as well.
Well, a lot of these flat stages, they're trying to get a breakaway established. So the first hour and a half of racing, while that small group gets away, every guy that doesn't have a chance in the sprint or is an overall contender tries to be the man in that breakaway for their team. So the first couple of hours of racing, especially on a rolling course like today, is absolutely vicious and very painful. So this is a flat stage for the sprinters, but not easy by any stretch of the imagination.
All right, well, Paul, there are a number of categorized climbs today. Let's go to the map and take us through it.
Well, as we say, we're right at the bottom end of France still, and it's going to be extremely hot, and I think that may well be one of the important factors. Riders leaving Monaco behind them in the morning, getting right through Nice. Those are not really major climbs, nothing really to worry about. I think the most important thing, as Bob said today, is the terrain is very unforgiving. There's no flat at all once the riders leave Nice behind them, and it is a very difficult race route to control.
Yeah, this is Bob's idea of a flat stage, by the way, as we go on to Brignoles. 116 miles, San Diego, Los Angeles is pretty similar at 120. It is the first time the race has ever been here to Brignoles, around off the main finishing straight. The streets are very, very narrow indeed. I suspect it will be a great result for Mark Cavendish, but unfortunately I don't think I can pick him today.
Oh, and you have segued perfectly into our Cadillac prediction segment. And
already hedging your bets, Phil.
I was going to say, Phil, here we go again. Well, look at this. After one day, I'm in the lead, 1 point ahead of Paul Sherwen. Bob and Phil struggling for that first point. And as you mentioned yesterday, Phil, it took you a few days last year, but are you confident in your pick today? We'll get to it in a bit, but are you confident?
No.
Yeah, well, I am. I'm getting near the head of the pick order, but I was very delighted with my result yesterday. No, I got no points, but a blink of an eyelid, and that's all it was, a fraction of a second, and I'd have been in fourth place. I think
how many points do you get for fifth place on the stage?
Oh, well, put it away, Craig.
We bring the jersey out yet again, and I will keep it over here on my right, away from these three, just to protect it perhaps for another day. We start today with Mr. Sherwen, and Paul, you had that illustrious first pick. Yesterday, I thought it was a no-brainer pick. Did you go about with the same wisdom today?
Well, I have to say, I think yesterday picking number 2 and getting the second place finisher wasn't too bad. Today, I'm very happy to be picking number 1 because I am obviously, if you just listen to the music in the background, going to pick the man from the Isle of Man, Mark Cavendish, the fastest man in the world. I do believe it's going to be a bunch sprint today, and I don't think very many guys would bet against Mark Cavendish winning if it came down to a final bunch sprint. So Mark Cavendish is going to be my man for the day.
Bob, yesterday you were confident in your pick. Today you're staying true to the red, white, and blue.
Absolutely. Red, white, and blue it's going to be. It's been a couple of decades since the United States has had a contender for the field sprint. So I want to introduce this man to everybody. The first time he's ever been picked on our show, Tyler Farah. He's a fast man. He even beat Mark Cavendish in a smaller stage race in Italy earlier in the season, and I think he's going to be up there. It might take him a few days to adjust to the Tour de France and the media crush that all the riders are subjected to, but I hope Tyler Farah gets some points for me today. Come on, Tyler.
Phil, you and I earlier were talking about the chalk blue butterflies out here. A lot flying around. So did the color blue influence your pick today?
Very good, Craig. Yeah. Well, actually, I'd love Tyler to win. It's his first tour, and it would be great. But of course, he will be beaten by Big Tom Bonan, I reckon, because I've only just found out that he's been suffering from diarrhea for the past 2 days. So he's going to be in a hurry to win today, so he can go to the toilet. So I think he's got a very good chance. And Bonan is back. Remember, he got a late call up when he finally sorted out all his personal problems with cocaine, and he's now back in the race. And I think he'll win.
Let's just clarify. How many years have you covered the Tour de France?
37. When Lance was born. Yeah.
So after 37 years, it comes down to a run for the bathroom rather than a run for the line.
You have to know how these men feel physically, otherwise you can't win.
I can only hope to be around 37 years from now and use that same rationale. Well, I went with a little different formula today to try to keep this yellow jersey. I am going with the God of Thunder. Of course, the big Norwegian who has had a great season so far. I expect Odin's hammer to come out at the finish and Thor Hushovd to start his quest for yet another green jersey. I am certainly confident in my pick, as my friend Bob Roll I know is, and the other two compatriots as well. So we'll find out soon enough which one of the four of us, or perhaps none of us, is right here in stage number 2. 187 kilometers of hard-earned pavement stands between 180 riders and this finish line. One rider has a celebration in his future.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Who's watching? Tell me who's watching. Who's watching?
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Is this your house?
Now it's your house, too.
Why don't you do something nice for Mommy? Show her how much you love her.
That's a wonderful idea.
I think there could be something wrong with Esther.
In every family, there are secrets we hide and truths we can't escape.
I want her out of this house. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect my children.
What did you do?
Orphan, rated R, starts July 24th.
The hotter the hot. The colder the cold. The greater the demand. The more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Batteries built to meet or exceed original equipment standards for cold cranking amps. Batteries built with the power to hold up to heavy electrical demands. Batteries so good they come with a coast-to-coast warranty. Only at...
Hey, I'm Jacob, Body by Jake, and founder of Exercise TV.
It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed. Oh, yeah. Be there.
Stage
Stage 1 of the 2009 Tour de France is now history. Just like he did in 2004 and 2007, Fabian Cancellara won the opening time trial and is the first to don the yellow jersey. Today, the peloton travels across a famous stretch of road synonymous with speed, Formula One. So it's only fitting that the fastest man in cycling will be calling the shots on this day. The focus will surely rest on the shoulders of the self-proclaimed fastest man on two wheels, Mark Cavendish. The pressure is on to top the amazing feat he achieved last year when he won 4 stages. The rest of the speed demons will be sniffing for blood after Cavendish stole their thunder a year ago. Fasten your seatbelts for a fast and furious ride. It's Stage 2, next on Versus. Yes, today the Principality of Monaco is handed back to the rich and the famous as the Grand Depart of the Tour de France is behind the riders. They now head over the hills and far away as they head towards the town of Brignoles. They're in the beautiful area of France today. It is Provence. This is where the people here will welcome the Tour de France stage finish in Brignoles for the very first time. Hello everybody, welcome back to our live coverage here at Stage 2 in the Tour de France. I'm Phil Liggett. This of course is Paul Sherwen. Yesterday we were treated to a magnificent time trial, won certainly by the best time trialist in the world, Fabian Cancellara. Well, today we might be treated to a sprint finish, and that could be won by the fastest sprinter in the world, right? Mark Cavendish.
Mark Cavendish has proved, Phil, over the last couple of years that he really is a very fast bike rider when it comes down to the last 50 or 100 meters. It's almost as if he can sprint from the front, the back, or even at the middle of the peloton, but whatever happens, as soon as he sees that banner across the road, he comes out of the pack and waves his arms up in the sky in a salute of victory. And I have a feeling today that he wants to get underway, Phil, very quickly and try and get himself win number 1 at this year's Tour.
And with win number 1, it could be 35 very valuable points, because Mark's aim this year, along with a few other riders, is the green jersey. And you know, already there are 3 previous winners of the green jersey in the race this year.
Well, those are the riders who have to be consistent on every stage, and it's a real thing to win. You know, the past winners who are already in the field are Oscar Freire, who won this competition last year. Tom Boonen returning to the Tour de France for his first time since 2007 when he won that title. And, of course, Big Thor Hushovd, the God of Thunder. Now, it is a very difficult competition to win because although the green jersey is worn by the rider with the most sprints, sprints are awarded every day at intermediate sprint points and at the finish line. But there are a lot more points on the flat stages, 35 points for a winner of a flat stage, and that's why it is so important to come out every time the road is flat to try and get yourself as many points as possible.
All right, the story so far then, the riders leaving Monaco today. Happy smiles from Lance Armstrong. Can't believe it, back in the Tour de France. They roll out. Christian Prudhomme is the director of the Tour de France, and on board today is Prince Albert II, the man who's in charge of the Principality of Monaco. The yellow jersey being worn, Paul, by Fabian Cancellara, green jersey there by Bradley Wiggins, and the polka dot jersey, of course, by Alberto Contador. First climb, La Turbie, Tony Martin for Team Columbia High Road, snatching the points ahead of Marcus Foten and Laurent Lefebvre.
Well, once they'd gone over the top, it was downhill and into Nice, and then the first sprint point of the day after 27 kilometres covered. Coming up to the line, it was Stéphane Ogier getting himself maximum points there ahead of Cyril Dessel.
That was the beautiful Promenade des Anglais. On to climb number 2 at Roquefort-les-Pins after 49 kilometres, and it's Jussi Väykönen of Finland for Française de Jeu nipping away ahead of Dessel and Ogier. Then the first crash of the Tour de France. Frank Schleck on the left of our picture looking a bit the worse for wear, Also Christophe Moreau in the blue and Igor Anton adjusting his bike in the orange there. But although he did look shook up, he did get back on his bike and started to slowly ride away. Now just watch this as Frank is paced back, quite legally actually, by his team car.
Well, the team car helped him out, but all of a sudden when they came up alongside him to pass him a drink, I don't think he was too happy about that. But eventually, Phil, he did ride himself back into the main field. Then it was the third climb of the day, the Côte de Tournon, and again, the young rider from Française de Jeux, Jussi Väikkönen, getting himself maximum points and climbing into the lead in that competition.
So Väikkönen, his first tour, heading for the polka dot jersey. And let me remind you that the Tour on Versus this year comes to you in full high definition. Look at the clarity of that shot. Please check your listings. We're now on stage 2 of the tour as we head towards Brignoles. Dare I tell you, look at the weather. It is extremely hot. It is also very humid and only a light wind to cool us all down today. But what a beautiful part of the world, Paul.
Well, this is the man who scorched the races around Monaco yesterday, because this man, Fabian Cancellara, beat Alberto Contador by 26 seconds in the final half of the race, plunging down from the summit of the Côte de Beausoleil. And now he really believes he can hold on to that yellow jersey, Phil, quite possibly all the way down till the race goes into the Pyrenees after Barcelona.
Well, at the moment, the lead is up to 5 minutes and 17 seconds. It's the biggest we have had. 96 kilometres still to race as well. Heading up towards the next sprint here at Fayence, which takes us to the 92-kilometre point. We'll see a little sprint, I think, because there's green jersey points. These are the 4 leaders, and just around the corner is the second sprint of the day. It was Auger who won on the Promenade des Anglais in Nice ahead of Dessel and Clement. So they were getting the first points in the green jersey competition. We're now heading into Fayence. Paul, you know these roads so well. You raced them so many times.
Well, I certainly did. These are the roads of the Tour of the Mediterranean, Paris-Nice, and of course of the Tour de Haute-Var. And not far away from Fayence is the small town of Seyon, where the Peugeot team many years ago used to hold their training camp at the early part of the year. That's Staff Clement on the front, the former national champion in the individual time trial from Holland. I don't think there's going to be too much of an acceleration for this sprint point at the moment, because these riders probably realize that a long way down the road they are not likely to be winners of the green jersey classification.
No, Clement, Auger and Dessel was the order there over the line. No sprint, but a few points in the bag for the green jersey. All of the leaders' coloured jerseys, by the way, are back in the pack, and also the blue jerseys, which are worn by Team Astana for Lance Armstrong, they also all back in the pack. These 4 boys trying to just steal a march at the moment. They've got 5:16. So as you can see here, just a reminder that those green jerseys, when they're all together like that, are in the big peloton together. As time goes on over the 3 weeks we're here, they might not be in the same position together. And the blue jersey represents Team Astana, which is Levi Leipheimer and Lance Armstrong's team. So those are the riders there. And just to remind you, the yellow jersey being worn today by Fabian Cancellara. The green jersey is on loan from Cancellara because he's also the leader on points, being worn by Bradley Wiggins of Garmin Slipstream. The polka dot jersey is being worn by the man who was fastest up the hill yesterday, which is Alberto Contador. The white jersey for the young rider competition being worn by the winner yesterday, Roman Kreuziger of the Czech Republic. Little bit of a problem here. This is Cancellara having his saddle adjusted. The team have been working very hard just to keep this the whole field in touch with those 4 breakaways, because they want to try and keep Cancellara in the yellow jersey as long as they possibly can, even down to the Pyrenees. So it's a saddle that's the problem. And there's the Swiss flag on the top tube of his all-yellow bicycle today. They work hard, these mechanics, don't they? Old spray gun must have been out all night to get that yellow frame produced. I doubt it. They expected him to win yesterday, and he did. So they probably brought it along. Bjorn Rees there, looking at him, a former winner as well in 1996. The beautiful red roofs of Provence here. Well, today is stage 2. It should be a sprinter stage. It should be all about sprint finishes.
We all need people who will be there for us in life. People who say, we're with you, no matter what. At Wachovia and Wells Fargo, we're with you. When a house turns into a home.
Excuse me, Rufus.
When a passion becomes a career. When a relationship turns into a lifetime. And when times are tough, but life presses on. We're with you when you need someone to stand by you. Wachovia, Wells Fargo, and you. Together, we'll go far.
Here at Sports Soup, they're worst inches away from the track. Makes for our best.
Just another perfect day. I think I'll walk this way where the trees do sing. I'm feeling part of everything. And all my troubles seem to fade away. And skies look brighter.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
At TireRack.com, we don't just sell tires, we test them. On our test track and on real-world roads. So we stock nearly 1 million tires. That's the largest selection anywhere. And Tire Rack delivers to you or thousands of our independent recommended installers, usually in just 2 business days.
Right now, get up to a $50 mail-in rebate when you buy a set of 4 select Goodyear tires. For details, go to TireRack.com/TV.
TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Nature Valley Granola Bars, the taste nature intended.
Welcome back. Another beautiful day in paradise on the Tour de France. It's the second day here. Stuart O'Grady keeps Fabian Cancellara, his teammate, just in touch. Just checking out the route here, Stewie. But it's around about 92 kilometres to go, and the lead up front for 4 riders, 5.25 minutes. If we were to stop the race now, they would hold the top 4 places overall, and the yellow jersey would pass to Steph Clement, who started the day 1:28 back. Now, let me remind you to log on to versus.com/ride of your life every day during the tour for your chance to win a trip for 2 to the 2010 Tour de France and a Cervelo S2 bike. You can also win a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey like we use in the Cadillac Performance Prediction segment, and they'll all be signed by us. Today's code word you need is sprint, so on you go. Well, just caught a glimpse there of Lance Armstrong talking to Tom Boonen down there. Happy to make friends again. And they're both old hands in the Tour de France. Not quite as old as Lance, who's 37, he'll be 38 in September. These are the 4 leaders. They are Steph Clement, Cyril Dessel, Jussi Veikkonen, and Stefan Ogier. We expected a breakaway to go today, Paul. It went in the area of the Col d'Ez, which used to be a famous hill climb on the last day of Paris-Nice in years gone by. You always get that initial flurry in the first half hour, and then the combination gets going, doesn't it?
Yes, I think everybody is quite happy with the breakaway situation, because what it actually does is it calms down the ardours in the main field. Although, having said that, if you look at that length of the main field, especially the front part of it, that's an indication that Team Saxo Bank are taking this chase quite early. We talked a little bit about the tactics of Mark Cavendish and his team, saying, well, we don't want to chase down all of the breakaways. Well, for the moment, he doesn't have to worry too much about that, because Team Saxo Bank, I think, want to keep this race together for as long as possible, because with such a big advantage by Fabian Cancellara in the time trial yesterday, and no time bonuses in the Tour de France this year, Cancellara could keep that yellow jersey on his shoulders for at least a week.
Maybe all the way into Andorra. I think he'll have his hands full climbing up the Arcolis climb in Andorra by the weekend, but for the moment, that's his intention. There he is, looking after his team. Garmin, who are riding there just off on his right shoulder, with Bradley Wiggins, you know, sitting in 3rd place. Garmin, too, have a real chance of taking yellow jersey on Tuesday in the team time trial, and that'll be uppermost in their minds as well.
I spoke to Lance Armstrong just before the start of the Tour de France, and he was explaining to me that when he flew over to Europe from the United States, Phil, he went straight up to do the mountain stages of the Tour de France. He wanted to ride the time trial, then he came down
down with the team to ride the team time trial route as well. And he basically said to me that team time trial route is going to be so testing, there will be absolute carnage. So it's going to be an interesting rendezvous on Tuesday, I think, for everybody. And as you said, it's going to be rather a challenge. We've gone halfway through the course now. We've got all the early climbs pretty much out of the way. We're on the undulating part of the course. There's one sprint point left out on course, and that's going to be in the small town of Lorgues, and that is after the Col de Lange, the climb of the Angels, and that's the climb that takes the riders away from the city of Draguignan.
It was where Bernard Hinault had a punch-up once in Paris with some local workers, wasn't it?
He did. He wasn't very happy about the fact that the local shipbuilders decided to stop the race, and he was in the situation where he just about opened up a breakaway, and instead of slowing down for the manifestation, he accelerated and charged into him and put his head down. It was a bit of a nutter, the Blaireau.
He was a brave man. Bernard Hinault works for the Tour organisation these days. We see him every night on the podium, making sure the riders stand in the right place, meet the right dignitaries, and of course a 5 times winner of the Tour de France. The yellow numbers today being worn by Team Astana, the team of Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador, because they won the team prize yesterday, and how they were a real strong all-round team. We're looking here at Gregory Rast, who was the last rider to be named on the squad, and unfortunately kept out Chris Horner, the American, who certainly deserved his place. But you're only allowed 9 men, and I guess Astana could have named at least a dozen to ride in the Tour de France.
Yeah, just to expound on that point a little bit, Phil, it's always very difficult for the team manager. You have to bear in mind there's probably 25 riders on average on a big Pro Tour team. They've got to slim that number down to 12 or 13 riders leading up to the Tour de France, and then once they get down to the last 24, 48 hours to go, they've got to pick the last 9, and it's a very difficult thing to do because people always get upset about their non-selections.
Well, you can't blame them. It's every professional's ambition to say you have ridden at least 1 Tour de France, because this is the absolute pinnacle of their world. Well, the boys at Saxo Bank, this is when you get a realization when we talk about the domestique and the super domestique. These are the teammates who are now driving this bunch along in favor of their team leader in yellow there, keeping him out of trouble. He's making no effort. He rides in the slipstream. He saves about 30% of his energy. They spend all of theirs, but as long as they make sure that Cancellara gets to the finish in the same time as everybody else, he will keep his yellow jersey.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, being a member of a team. And you must always remember that it's impossible to win a bike race like the Tour de France without a team alongside to help you, at least at some time or on some occasion.
Well, these are the 4 men. The shadows coming, the sun coming from the top right of the picture there, seeing by the shadows. Beautiful, narrow racing roads today. Look at that. We're heading over those hills in a few moments' time. That's where you'll find the Col d'Ange. Lance Armstrong just sucking in the atmosphere. He's in the peloton. He's safe for the moment. Oh, what a lovely view. We better take a break straight away. See you in a moment.
Throw away your money. Switch to Sprint. Save $360 a year with the Everything Data Family Plan and get the BlackBerry Curve 8330 smartphone for just $49.99.
Whether you're powering down the asphalt in a Cervelo S2 or a Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon, you're sure to get that rush. Now imagine the rush you could feel at the final stage of the Tour de France with the Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Just watch the Tour de France on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to Versus.com/rideofyourlife to enter. You could win a Cervelo S2 and a VIP trip to Paris to watch the 2010 Tour. The Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, and watch the Tour de France right here on Versus.
From Wagner comes a revolution in power painting. Optimus dual tip technology with a more refined spray pattern here. This dual tip design delivers better paint coverage here, superior control here, and a beautiful finish here. All of which adds more to life out here. The new Optimus Power Painter with dual tip technology only from Wagner. And now, Wagner brings you the world's first and only cordless power painter with Optimus dual tip technology. Available at Lowe's. painting will never be the same. Wagner brings you the only power painter with Optimus dual tip technology. With a more refined spray pattern here, Wagner's dual tip design delivers better paint coverage here, superior control here, and a beautiful finish here. All of which adds more to life out here. The new Optimus Power Painter with dual tip technology, only from Wagner. The finish you want, the value you're looking for.
Remember that feeling? It's time to get it back. Come to a free relationship workshop sponsored by the Colorado Healthy Marriage Project. To sign up or learn more, visit mary-well.org. That's mary-well.org.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, you take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, and you're gone. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes.
The team time trial returns for the first time since 2005, and gone are the rules limiting maximum time losses. That means the climbers teams can't coast. Over 38 kilometers, the weaker teams could lose many minutes. Solid picks today will be Cervelo, Columbia, Garmin and Saxo Bank, although the formidable team time trial talent of Lance Armstrong's team may trump them all. This is the stage that US Postal used to rule. Visit bicycling.com for exclusive daily tour commentary and analysis from the cycling's biggest sport, the Tour de France. These are the four men who are continuing to plug away. Cyril Dessel, who's tasted the yellow jersey, just kissed it in 2006 for a day. These are the positions of the four riders in the overall classification when they left Monaco this morning. So Clement would be the best place to take yellow. He started only a minute 28 behind Cancellara. Väikkönen, that's Väikkönen, a minute 30. So he'd have to try and get a 2-second advantage in the sprint finish to claim yellow. And what a treat that would be, his first Tour de France. Well, all of the leaders' jerseys are back in the pack. There are four major competition jerseys, and white, yellow, polka dot and green. Here's Paul Sherwen now to tell us more.
Riders will compete for 4 separate competition jerseys at the Tour de France.
He always told his team, I want to win the Tour de France. I want you guys to help me win the Tour de France. Now it looks like he has won the Tour de France.
The most coveted jersey in cycling, the famed yellow jersey, is worn by the rider with the overall lead based on time. With only a handful of men skilled enough to earn this, other specialised jerseys exist. The top overall general classification rider under 26 will don the white jersey, solidifying his arrival to the cycling world.
And Ferrer is through on the line. The man in green takes it.
The rider with the most points, as determined by mid-stage checkpoints and stage finishes, claims the green jersey, primarily for the sprinters of the Tour. This jersey is the most sought after by the world's fastest men on 2 wheels. The King of the Mountains will wear the polka dot jersey in Paris, symbolic of climbing excellence. The now famous colours were introduced in 1975 at the request of the sponsoring French chocolate maker. All 4 leaders are the most prized possessions in cycling and recognised around the world.
Yes, indeed, they are. Very expensive washing line, that. Today, they're worn by yellow for overall leader Cancellara, who also, by winning yesterday, got the green jersey as well. They're always worn, so they pass it on to the second-place rider in the race. In this case, it's the third-place rider, Bradley Wiggins, who's in green, because Alberto Contador, who lies second, has got the King of the Mountains. Roman Kreuziger, as the best young rookie, he wears the white jersey today. All together in that big peloton, all hoping that somebody gets up front and brings back these 4 riders so we can have a sprint finish in Brignoles. 52 miles, or about 84 kilometers, are still to ride, Paul, at the moment. They can't afford to let it run a lot further because 5 minutes will take some bringing back today. We have one small climb to come. It's only 4th category. That's the lowest of all the climbs, the Col de Longe, and that comes with some 58 kilometers left to race. Might be a good springboard.
Well, I think you might have noticed that the gap has started to tumble in the right direction for the sprinters, because it's gone from that 5:15 maximum down to 5 minutes. But my mind was just casting myself back to Paris-Nice this year, and you may well remember that a young man leading Paris-Nice called Alberto Contador was coming through this town of Seyon. There's a problem here, and this is a problem from somebody from Team Garmin. It's a front wheel flat tyre.
Well, yeah, it looks as though it's Julian Dean. Yes, it is Julian Dean, yep.
No panic at all for Julian. And at times like this, when you realise that the gas is not completely and utterly on, you can take your time getting yourself back into the main field.
Not too long, Julian. I mean, this is losing a few seconds here.
No panic. He's a real, true professional bike rider. He knows that the convoy of cars are behind the peloton in the Tour de France is extremely long, and he can afford to lose himself 30 or 40 seconds at the side of the road. He knows that the chase is not on at 50 or 60 kilometers an hour. If he'd had a mechanical incident like that closer to the finish, he might have taken a little bit more nervousness in trying to get himself back up and running. But Julian Dean, very shortly, will get himself back into the main field. But just to finish that story, it was on these very roads in Paris-Nice that Alberto Contador, who looked like he was going to win Paris-Nice for a second time, actually hit the wall. He hadn't been eating properly, and he got blown away by a certain Luis Leon Sanchez.
He's not made that mistake twice. Incidentally, Paul, Julian Dean always finishes the Tour de France. This will be his 5th attempt. He seems to like a 7 in the results. He finished 127th in 04, 127th in 06, and 107th in 07. So something went wrong last year. He was 108th.
Oh, well, plus one. But Julian Dean is a man who I think could be very instrumental a little bit later on in the stage, when I do feel certain that it will come back together for Tyler Farrar, because he is a man I think today would like to get himself into the top 3
and that's
finishes.
his job, to lead him out.
He's a great lead-out man, Julian Dean, for any sprinter. He used to lead out Thor Hushoff for many years on Crédit Agricole. They worked very well together, and I think that's what's going to be expected of Julian Dean later on for Tyler Farrar.
Yes, Tyler Farrar in his first Tour de France. Will he get a stage win today? It would be a wonderful result indeed. We're looking out around the beautiful area of the Var. The Tour de France goes on, and we will leave you for only just a moment.
While looking for his remote, Alex makes an unfortunate discovery.
Oh, no.
If Alex had Netflix, he'd never have to pay late fees. Take the drama out of renting.
Netflix. Unlimited movies for $8.99 a month. When your engine's running clean, you feel it. And Pennzoil Platinum Motor Oil cleans out up to 46% of sludge in your first oil change and continues to clean in your next change. Feel our ultimate clean. Not just oil. Pennzoil.
Kelly Saunders, Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
% of all the vehicles we've ever sold in this country are still on the road. Now that's a long-term investment. Range Rover, the luxury that's more than a luxury. For special deals, visit a Land Rover Center today.
Visa debit is easier than cash and checks.
more people go explore with Visa.
One thing about this race is that you're hitting the most extreme conditions you ever hit in a race.
I can't even describe how bad it is. It is the roughest road you could ever imagine riding a bike over.
The bikes are unbelievable. I don't know how I raced Roubaix before without it.
We think it's nice to have stock bikes in the races so people can see how good those bikes really are.
Exceptional. They've surprised me again.
Welcome back. Just take a moment now to look at today's Trek aerial view, the red-topped roofs of this beautiful area of the Var in Provence, as the riders now make their way to a first-time finish in Brignoles. We're getting closer by the minute, quite literally. A little bit of a problem here at the back for Benoit Vaurenard. He's in the peloton and gone for a chat with the doctor here, who I think is going to try and treat some, maybe a bee sting or something. He's 121st overall in the race. This is the assistant race doctor here. I don't know quite what he's doing, but looks as though he has a little problem inside his jersey. I suspect a bee.
Just over on the left there, you might notice the rock and rolling style of Jens Voigt battling his way up through the outside. He's obviously been back to the team car to have a little bit of an adjustment. I've noticed one or two of the riders on Team Saxo Bank today have been back on a number of occasions to the team car to make adjustments, especially Fabian Cancellara. And I think the reason for that, Phil, is he's not riding his normal bike. The team have brought out a special bike for him today, completely bedecked in yellow to match his yellow jersey.
Interesting, Paul. I just talked for a few moments about the way the team domestiques here protect the race leader, as all of the team are right in the front lug. He is the last man in the different colour of yellow, and it's all about saving Enzi by drafting at the back, isn't it? By protecting from the wind direction, etc.
Well, that's what it's all about. What happens is a rider at the front is actually the one who's forcing his way into the wind, and the riders behind him actually save up to 30% of their energy. The further back you get, the wider the main field can start to spread, and that's why all of these riders look for a place in the middle. And very often, if you can find the right place, if you've got the nerve, you can actually almost float in the middle of the apex at the front end of the pack.
And that's where he is, right at the tail here now. He's got all of his team. Even the rider in red is his teammate Arveson. He's pulled on the colours of the champion of Norway, which he has to wear. He won that title a week before the Tour de France started yesterday in Monaco. There's quite a few national champions on that team, one way and another. It's a great team. It so far is going according to the exact plan that Saxo Bank had, which was to get Cancellara first yesterday, done, and to keep him in yellow as long as possible. They don't really expect Cancellara to handle the huge climbs in the Pyrenees shortly, but to keep him in the yellow for a week could be quite an achievement.
But I'll tell you one thing, they've also got a very good chance, Phil, of defending when they ride the team time trial, because that is an incredible squad, Team Saxo Bank. Let's not forget, they were very close to beating Team Discovery Channel a couple of years ago when they had Dave Zabriskie in the yellow jersey and crash inside of the final kilometre of the event.
Yeah.
So I think they will be looking forward to the team time trial on Tuesday, and that is a great event to watch. I really enjoy the team time trial. It's extremely technical. Little problem at the back there, rider stopping, and that may well be, I didn't hear a thing on race radio, but I expect that may well have been a flat tyre for someone.
No, it's all been going pretty well so far, but the one hitch is where our race radio from out on the course is not reaching us yet. It'll be with us before Paris. It usually gets in some stage or other. Just talking about that team time trial, Paul, the big change in the rules, though, with the reintroduction of the team time trial is there's no minimum time loss now. What you lose is what you lose, and that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, many years ago, the rules used to be that you lost 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Then there was a limit to a maximum of 5 minutes that you could lose to try and make it nice and fair if you had a weak team. Well, this year, it's the actual time, and so one or two riders could lose themselves huge chunks of time. This is Rojas, and it was probably him who was stopped at the side of the road with a slight mechanical incident. But you see how relaxed he is, Phil, going through the cars. A lot of people say, oh, it's not fair, the cars are getting in the way of the professional cyclists and slowing them down. Well, you can be absolutely certain that this guy is using the cars himself. He knows what the line of the cars is going to be around the corner, and the team managers, most of them are former professional cyclists themselves. They're not only looking at the car in front, they are always looking in the rear view mirrors, left and right behind them, to make sure that they know exactly who is coming back up through the pack.
That's right. And notice they always drive on the right of the road to allow the left of the road for the free passage of the riders and vehicles who are returning to the back of the field. That's the way it is. We're just about getting into the feeding station here now. Now, many people have written to me and said, do they sit down? Well, no, they don't actually stop. They grab these little bags, they're called musettes, full of their favourite, what they fancy, and just to fill holes in the tummy, really, rather than be of much use, and then they keep on going.
Well, it's the food in the first part of the race which is really the most important, and the riders will try and eat something more consistent in the first half of the race. Then after that, in fact, this is Oscar Pereiro, who's back in the car as well, and I wonder what the problem is with Oscar Pereiro, the winner of the Tour de France in 2006.
As he stalks his way back through the bunch. One or two riders have been off the back today, but nothing too sensational. Frank Schleck will be a bit sore after his fall, but seemingly okay. And you hear the cars blowing the horns. That's to warn the car in front. A rider is coming through the convoy, so they're telling each other that Pereiro is making his way back.
And you see how tightly they drive as well. That's to keep the convoy nice and tight as Pereiro leapfrogs from car to get himself back into the main field, probably in about a minute's time.
Pereiro dancing on those pedals. It's about 20 kilometers before we hit the Col de Lange, the climb of the Angel, and he's got plenty of time. That's when you see the red car, you know you've made it. That's the boss, that's the chief referee of the race. So he's back in. We're back in the Tour de France. We're back out for a break, and we'll see you in just a moment.
I see it. All synthetic oils are the same.
Think with your dipstick, Jimmy. Aren't all synthetic oils the same? Think with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Synthetics or synthetics?
Castrol Edge. I'm going to try this.
Oh, no, that's thinking with your dipstick.
So why did you hit me?
Because you were thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge with 8 times better wear protection than Mobil 1 5W30. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
This is Steve and Karen. With video on demand from Comcast, they're practically transporting themselves. It's quick, in-depth, and free, so you can experience what you want when you want it.
Mile High Grizzlies Semi-Pro Football. The season is underway and tickets are on sale. Check out the undefeated 2008 champions on demand at Channel 888. Select sports, then Grizzlies.
I think it was the Sunday styles that brought us together.
I think it was the Weekend Review. Getting the Times delivered for me, well, that's really the best part of the weekend. That's why I love the Weekender.
It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday subscription that puts you in the center of the conversation.
So you call the 800 number and you save 50%.
50% off home delivery? Fantastic.
The best journalists in the world work for the Times, and there's no debating that.
So call now. Get the conversation going.
Get the Weekender for as low as $5.20 a week. Call 1-800-832-3658 and be part of a great conversation.
Speed is about winning races, breaking records, and making history. What do I see at 230 miles an hour? It's tunnel vision. You have one goal, the checker flag. Speed is my drug. It's gotta be a new
Welcome back. Well, it's a quarter of a century since the Americans found the Tour de France, and there are 7 of them in this year's Tour. This is how they fared yesterday. Leipheimer the best in 6th, Armstrong in 10th place, Zabriskie in 13th. Christian van der Velde, who finished 4th in this race last year, sits 17th, and Tyler Farrar in 77th at a minute 42. Well, mentioning Tyler down there, Robbie Ventura was out and about. Here he is with Tyler.
stated it's been your dream to race the Tour de France. You're finally here, prologue under your belt. What's been the experience? How has the experience been for you?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's a circus here. It's pretty cool. It's you know, like you said, it's something you dream about as a kid coming here, and you know, to finally see it and see all the hoopla that goes with the tour. It's awesome.
Today's stage sets up well for you. It's a tough stage, finishing in the sprint most likely. How do you see your chances today?
Yeah, you know, I think they're pretty decent. It's not going to be the easiest stage today. We start right away with a climb and have a few more during the day. It's going to be hot, but I think it'll still come down to a bunch kick in the end, and you know, I'm feeling good, so that's what I'm here for.
You've proven yourself to be one of the fastest men in the world. You beat Cavendish in Torino. What are your hopes here? What's going to make this a successful Tour de France for you?
You know, this is my first tour, so it's a little bit, you know, just get into it, see how it goes. But I would really like to win a stage here, of course. That's kind of the goal. I was really close quite a few times in the Giro. And, you know, I think the speed's there, so I just need to put it all together and hopefully walk away with one.
Thanks, Tyler. Good luck today. Kick some butt, man.
Well done, Tyler Farrar. Well, the good news is we're over those climbs at the start now, and he's very much in the peloton. They're at the feeding station here and almost coming to a standstill. I thought perhaps they may have had a tumble in the middle, but looks okay. They're just grabbing their bags. That's a sure sign the chase is not very much on at the moment. So Tyler Farrar in the pack here, ready to sprint. Just saying, Paul, Tyler Farrar, very first Tour de France for him. A man who's confident. He's not afraid of the opposition. He might give Mark Cavendish a run for his money. And let's also mention Tom Bone and Thor Hushoft and Oscar Freire.
Great sprinters, but Farrar, I think, a very special Tour de France for him. He's not scared of any of the big reputations either. He's taken Tom Bone to the line. He's taken, of course, Mark Cavendish to the line on a couple of occasions this year. So I think he'll be looking to get himself right up to the front. And he has developed, Phil, this very good relationship with Julian Dean, the Kiwi on their squad, because Julian knows exactly where he needs to put his sprinter in the last 300 or 400 meters. And actually, it takes a sprinter to lead out a sprinter. Mark Cavendish, on the other hand, he's got Mark Renshaw, who's got a great track background, just like Mark Cavendish, to get him into the last 300 or 400 meters as well.
Well, it's a long time since the Americans had a great sprinter. Oddly enough, they've had great candidates for final victory in the Tour de France, but not sprinters. We go back really to the late 80s and Davis Finney, who won more bike races in America, but also won himself a couple of stages of the Tour de France.
I remember the first one. It was into the northern town of Lièvin. He was in a small breakaway of about 15 to 20 riders. I never really believed that he had the ability to come out of the pack on that occasion, and he just threw his bike at the line at the last minute, and he proved, well, he did win himself, I think, in excess of 500 professional victories. So he was quite a good lad, really, mind you.
Extremely fast. And his son might be even better. His son's now a world champion at 18. It's amazing.
Well, his son also did something that I don't think anybody has ever done. And I've looked back on a number of occasions through the record books to see if anybody has ever had a medal in the kilometre time trial at the World Championships and in the pursuit at the World Championships. And that's exactly what Taylor Phinney did this year. And I think that bodes well for the future. He's going to be a very special bike rider. And Bob Roll actually reminded me just before we came up here to commentate that in fact he was also the winner this year of Paris-Roubaix, so you know he could do almost anything.
Paris-Roubaix, yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, the peloton meandering at the moment, but they're holding that break. It is not slipping into the distance. I think if it's to be successful, by now it should be leading by 8 minutes, and it's not. It's by inside 5, so I don't think it's going to stay out there.
These are difficult roads, though, and unless one or two other teams come to the front and start helping Team Saxo Bank at around about 40 kilometers to go, the men at the front, the leading group of 4, they can still nurture hopes that they will survive and create the surprise, although it's very difficult with the organization that a lot of these top squads have got.
Well, they're all engaged in taking on the food now and handing out those little bags of souvenirs to the crowd here. As they continue, all Saxo Bank on the front. They're the teammates of the yellow jersey of Fabian Cancellara. And there's another stunning shot here. That's what it's like to be front and looking over your shoulder at the back. It's an awful long way to the last riders in the Tour. Not a good place to sit at the back if there's a reaction at the front, is it? Arvidsson here, eating everything, including the silver paper by the look of it. As the field continue towards Brignoles. There's a view of Varm. So Don't forget, Lance Armstrong is back. It's the second time he's made a comeback. We'll take a break, but when we come back, we'll tell you more about that.
From a sports perspective, it puts it out there as potentially sort of damaging this quote-unquote legacy.
Easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with the new Super Guarantee, you'll get the job done right, or we'll step in and help to make it right. Look for it on superpages.com. The Super Guarantee, making the good guys easy to find.
At TireRack.com, we stock more tires than anyone else, anywhere. Nearly 1 million tires. But we don't just stock them, we test them. And we post user reviews, so you can find which tires are the best for you and your car. All this at a price that won't slow you down. And that's 1 in a million, or in most cases, 4 in a million. The biggest selection of tires anywhere. One more way, Tire Rack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires.
TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
My Impreza has a Subaru Boxer engine. It's perfectly balanced for performance and handling. I love that engine. And I love anyone else who loves a Subaru engine too.
Impreza love knows no bounds. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Lease a Subaru Impreza for $179 per month with only $12.99 due at signing.
Want the good stuff for your home? Rent-A-Center puts that goal in easy reach. Get the top name brands you trust without credit checks. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now that's something we can all use, a little assist with our goals.
If you are a fan of courage, if you admire determination, if you are impressed by grace under pressure and can't help but share in the joy of victory, then you are already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, or compete. And be a fan of dignity, acceptance, and the human race.
Here at Sports Soup, they're worst
inches away from the track.
Makes for our best.
Welcome back. Nice to hear the helicopter, just over 1,500 feet of the peloton. And remember, down there, safely in the pack, is Lance Armstrong. His big comeback was marked in the Tour de France yesterday in Monaco. He got a big cheer as the crowd came off, and he rode pretty well. Well, let's have a look now at Lance's second comeback to the sport of cycling and the 2009 cycling season to the Tour de France.
Back in the day, cancer was a death sentence, and they said, gee, sorry, can't do anything for you. Obviously, it's an important issue for me. It's touched my life personally. It was, although it was 12 years ago, it still feels like it was 12 days ago. It really is the main motivation to be back doing this. We're at a point now where we felt we could take this message and we can affect lives, we can affect change, and ultimately create more survivors around the world. You look at 2005, then people start talking about what a perfect way to end, and it kind of rides off into the sunset. From a sports perspective, it puts it out there as potentially sort of damaging this quote-unquote legacy. But I think can start to bring about change when it comes to cancer worldwide, then I'm not worried about the other legacy. Discovered and sort of rediscovered that I have a true passion for cycling, not just as a cyclist myself, but as somebody that really appreciates the sport, cares about the sport.
If I compare his form today with the years 99 to 2005, he's on a higher level right now. But I think it's good to see, that he's there with Levi and the guys who are really competing at a very high level.
I'm nervous and I'm excited. If I hadn't trained, or if I felt like my condition wasn't good enough to start, I'd be really nervous. But I think I'm there. Then you get excited. You say, get in there, mix it up a little bit with the boys, and we'll see. I'm here as a volunteer, and I'm proud of that. Sport's been good to me. It's time to continue to get back to my cause, but also to get back to cycling.
Yes, Lance Armstrong, the cancer survivor, doing what he does best now is ride a bike and fight that terrible disease. Here's the story of 2009. He crashed on stage 1 of the Castilla y Leon, which caused a broken collarbone. The first ever time he's broken a bone in cycling. He's back, and he finished 12th in the Tour of Italy, getting stronger every day. Just before the Tour de France began, he won the Nevada Classic, and he's in that pack now, and he lies 10th overall in the race. Good tempo making now, Paul, and I notice here the Astana team of Lance Armstrong is keeping well out of it. They know the job that Saxo Bank have to do.
It's the responsibility of the Yellow Jerseys team, Phil, to do all of the pacemaking at the front end of the pack. It's one of those things, if you want to keep the lead, mate, you do the work to keep yourself up at the top end of the overall classification, and that's why it's all very much a tactical and psychological game over the first week of the Tour de France, seeing how much strength and how much effort another team is prepared to put in to keep hold of the lead.
Good tempo riding here, determination on the boys' faces. As the camera starts to pan down the peloton here, the green jersey there being worn by Bradley Wiggins after his brilliant third-place finish in the time trial yesterday. The polka dot jersey being worn by Alberto Contador, the king of the mountains, fastest up the climb of the Beau Soleil yesterday, and of course the yellow by Fabian Cancellara. These are the 4 escapees. They've been away for quite a while now, getting away in the area of the Col d'Ez. 4.5 minutes. It's slowly coming down at the minute, but regularly enough, I think, with 67 kilometers still to race. Steph Clement, Cyril Dessel, Jussi Väikkönen and Stefan Ogier. Ogier's the big experience in the race. This is his 7th Tour de France. He wore the King of the Mountains jersey. He's the rider in the red there. He wore his King of the Mountains jersey for 2 days in 2007. So he knows all about the Tour de France. The rookie is the rider on the front now, right now, Jussi Väikkönen, who may well be pulling on the King of the Mountains jersey by the end of this day. He's won the 2 climbs since the escape got underway.
And that's the important thing about a long breakaway like this, especially in the early part of the Tour, because there's always the possibility of that being a reward, and that's quite often why riders look for that early breakaway on the first day to get an early lead in one of the competitions. We can see, though, at the front end of the main field that a very dedicated team, Saxo Bank. They were completely taken in all by the performance of their man yesterday, Fabian Cancellara. He wasn't even first at the first time check. It was once he got to the summit of the climb, fairly close to the time of Alberto Contador, but on the descent he actually turned the tables by 26 seconds in 7.5 kilometers on Alberto Contador. He must have gone down that descent like a man possessed. It was probably straight for him. There were probably no corners.
That's right. Well, Steph Clement's doing most of the work in this race, 32% of it, it seems. Yes, big urgency now. These boys are dodging around the most beautiful part of the area of the Var. Roads, of course, completely closed. Spectator bit thin on the ground here as we pass the vineyards of Var. The peloton is hunting them, though, and slowly but surely they are closing in. We might still have a sprint yet. We'll take a break.
Visa debit is easier than cash and checks. More people go explore with Visa.
Hey, it's our friend Bob. Looks like Bob continues to enjoy the big lift he gets from Enzyte and natural male enhancement. With over 10 million packs sold, Enzyte is firmly the #1 selling brand, bringing true natural male enhancement to men all over the world. Now you can join Bob and the millions of men who fully enjoy the benefits of Enzyte. Just call or visit Enzyte.com for a sample pack of the strongest, most powerful Enzyte formula yet. Enjoy the full, robust confidence that only Enzyte can provide. If you've ever been curious about natural male enhancement, there's never been a better time to try a sample pack of Enzyte. Visit Enzyte.com or call toll-free for a sample pack. Call right now and you'll also get 2 free packs of Enzyte Topical Rush. With an offer this big, it's enough to throw a parade. Sample packs are in stock now and shipped to you within 48 hours. Offer only good while supplies last. Limit 1 per household. Enzyte, the once daily tablet for natural male enhancement.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV.
It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. Be there. Be there. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed. Yeah. Be there.
Welcome back. This is the overall standings in the Tour de France after yesterday's time trial in Monaco. Fabian Cancellara of Switzerland and Team Saxo Bank. He won an incredible 19:32 for just a 10-mile race around Monaco. Alberto Contador in second place there. Further down, Roman Kreuziger in seventh. Best young rider, Leipheimer, finishing sixth there. And on an American team, Tony Martin of Germany, he sits in eighth. Top 10 completed by the man, Lance Armstrong. Just 40 seconds off the pace of Cancellara. Let's go to Robbie Venturi. Here he is talking this morning with Fabian Cancellara.
This is your third prologue win in the last, I don't know how many years you've been doing the Tour de France. How does this victory stack up, and how does this yellow jersey feel compared to the others?
Well, it feels quite special. I mean, I think that's what I get in London was already something quite big and quite huge. But I think now in Monaco to win again and to be in yellow and to be still in this situation and in the when I look before the race, I was the biggest favorite. Everybody's looking at me, and that's maybe even harder to win, and that makes me even more satisfied.
Fabian, you won by such a huge margin, almost 20 seconds. You had the performance of a lifetime. The parcours of the course weren't necessarily favoring you because of the climb in the beginning. Did you expect to win by so much?
Well, on the end, I did my ride, and I said to me, I have to give everything out, and that's on the end I did. And how I win with 1 second or 18 seconds, in the end, for me, not counts, but maybe for the later on road kilometers, what you're going to do is maybe important that I have so much seconds ahead.
Now that you're in yellow, how long do you plan on keeping that jersey, and how much firepower will this team use to help protect it?
Well, we look from day to day, and I think our goal will be for sure to get that until the team time trial, and then later on we're going to look. I mean, it's still long. We have our two leaders, Frank and Andy Schleck, and but now we enjoy those hours and hopefully those more days in yellow.
Thank you, Fabian.
Yeah, what a modest and humble man he is. That was Fabian Cancellara. See how every day goes, and then see if he can pass the jersey back to one of his better teammates in the mountains. Here we are then, 61 kilometers left now, 4:25 coming down under the steady pacemaking of Team Saxo Bank as we get deeper into the wooded area here of the department of the Var. Bathed in sunshine today. Down there, the peloton of the Tour de France, latest time gap, 4 minutes 24 seconds. In miles, 38 miles left to run, 60 kilometers. and Saxo Bank being given the job of doing all the work and trying coax Cancellara back inside that 128, which will keep him in yellow tonight.
Well, just looking at the faces of the Saxo Bank riders there, Phil, they're not under any pressure at all. They're riding this sensibly. They don't. As a professional bike rider, you must never panic. You have to make sure that you ride at a steady tempo and you ride in a controlled manner. And they know exactly how to raise the tempo that they're adopting and pick it up slowly as they get closer to the finish. Just sitting on the back there, the leader of the AG2R squad, that was Vladimir Efimkin. And it's amazing how many teams have actually changed their jerseys leading up to the start of the Tour de France.
I think they do it to fool the commentators. I don't like it.
Although one or two of them...
We're going to have a problem in the sprint today. I can feel it coming, but...
Don't forget, Thor Hushovd is in a white jersey this time and not a black one.
Thank you very much. I used to love black jerseys. They stand out well on television, but they've changed them to a white with a little bit of black on just the day of the start of the Tour de France. And AG2R have also changed their colours. Slight adjustment of Team Columbia because they brought on board another big sponsor, which will stay with the sport now for a long time, HTC, which is a phone company, which I think is a good sign that there's still companies willing to support the sport of cycling.
Interesting to know there. We're looking down there on the American Cemetery, and that is a memorial, Phil, to the 7th Army. And you may remember that during the 39-45 Second World War, that the Americans actually landed not too far away from here around San Rafael to make the push inland from the south. And there are up to 861 soldiers buried there in that cemetery.
And immaculately looked after it is as well, as it should be, of course. The peloton probably a little bit too low down to see that picture that we've just seen as the four leaders continue inside 60 kilometers. These are the four leaders. Another little town just around the corner here. As we continue, this will be the back end of Draguignan. We're actually heading towards the Col de Lange. It's not very far away now, and next time when we come back, we could be struggling on the lower slopes. It's not very long though. See you in a moment.
You all want to run your businesses more efficiently, so we brought in a team of experts to help.
One suggestion is to make your shipping more efficient with priority mail flat rate boxes from the Postal Service. Call or go online for a free supply and up to $160 in offers from authorized postage vendors.
Shipping's a hassle, weighing every box.
Actually, with flat rate boxes, you don't need to weigh anything under 70 pounds. If it fits, it ships for a low flat rate.
Okay, but I ship all over the country.
You can ship anywhere in the country for a low flat rate. Ship international, too.
Yes, but I ship hundreds of things in all sizes.
Great, because flat rate boxes come in 4 sizes. Call now and we'll send a free supply plus up to $160 in offers. When you're ready to ship, we'll even pick them up for free no matter how many you have.
Priority mail flat rate boxes. Only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship. Call or go online now to get started.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Before the start of the race, I can feel my heartbeat in my hands, in my throat, in my eyes, everywhere. Fear and the stress, it makes me better. What do I see at 230 miles an hour? It's tunnel vision, and you have one goal, the checker flag. Speed is about winning races, breaking records, and making history. Speed is my drug.
It seems like prices just keep getting higher. But at Vonage, we've always charged $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. So even though the cable and phone companies have been busy raising their rates year after year, we've been charging the same $24.99. And now we've made switching home phone service even easier by waiving all setup and equipment fees. Plus, you'll get 25 great features, like unlimited international calling to 5 countries in Europe, anonymous call block, and voicemail that's delivered to your home phone, cell phone, and even your email. And there's never been a better time to sign up because you'll pay no setup, equipment, or shipping fees. Plus, get our 30-day money-back guarantee. So go to Vonage.com or call 1-877-4VONAGE today and hear just how good $24.99 can sound.
Don't forget to, this year Nike has partnered, you know, with some of the brightest minds in robotics to give fans the opportunity to write their messages of inspiration, hope and courage along the tour route. It's all via a custom-built robot called the Nike Chalkbot, and it's created by engineers at Carnegie Mellon. Just go to www.wearierro.com and learn more. As we swing quickly back to the action, this is the top of the Col d'Ange. I told you it wasn't very long. And a big sprint here because a piece of Tour history looks like being made now. This is Jussi Väikkönen, who's gone over the line first. He's got his hat-trick of little climbs out on course today. He now has more points in the King of the Mountains tonight. He will become the first ever rider from Finland to pull on the polka dot jersey. So well done to Väikkönen for that. He rides on a French team, Française des Jeux, or FDJ as it likes to be called. And so for the French team too, a little slice of glory for them when we get down to Brignoles, which is coming closer by the minute. 56 kilometers to go. So as we look at the peloton here, Lance is down in that peloton. But before the start this morning, we sent our Frankie Andreu into the camp of Astana. And here he is now, talking to Lance Armstrong just before the start.
Okay. Lance, a hot day yesterday for the time trial yesterday. Are you pleased with how things went for you?
Pretty good. I mean, I didn't have any expectations of greatness. I mean, I thought I'd be, I guess if you asked me before, I said maybe top 10, so that was, I can't be too disappointed. Started conservatively, which is what I wanted to do, and lost time there, but not bad. Hard stage.
If you were to change it, would you maybe not have started so conservatively?
Well, you know,
you risk it later.
You can always go back and, I would have done this, I would have done that. I mean, I would have, yeah, you start a little harder, but then you overcook it, and then you're pedaling squares at the end either, you know, as well. So,
well, you have riders, you know, Astana did a great race yesterday. Second, fourth, sixth, 10th, you're in 10th. Has that led to any decision on the team leadership?
You know, they just say, I mean, right now we're focused on the team time trial. I think that'll start to sort things out amongst the other teams. It's just hard to say. I mean, if you could look at, I mean, so much emphasis was put on the opening stage. If you look at the last week, the last 4 days of this Tour de France with the Alps, the final time trial, Ventoux before Paris, it's just so hard for a team to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. I mean, we're keeping it open. Levi's obviously good. I mean, I think if you ask Johan, he says they have, you know, we have 4 guys that can win the Tour. And there's 8 guys in the whole race that can win the Tour. So it's trying to keep it open a little bit.
So you're in a good situation, but a tough situation. The next couple days, you know.
Good for us, bad for him.
Yeah, but the next couple days, you know how it is. It's very fast. It's nerve-wracking. How do you plan to handle the next couple days? And are you going to have some riders to be able to help escort you through the stages?
Well, we definitely want to try to stay together as a team, but all the favorites try to do that, so that's complicated. But I got a guy with me. I'll stay with Gregory Rast, and then Alberto has a couple guys with him, and you know, try to stay out of trouble. As you know, these roads around here are up and down and left and right. It's hot. Thank goodness the run-in is straight and not, you know, not with 28 turns in the last 5K. But we'll be safe.
All right, good luck. Thanks.
What do you think of the audience, Lance?
Well, live television. Remember, we could show you the crash. We couldn't break into the interview. That was Hayden Royston being pushed off there, the new first-timer from New Zealand. And this rider here is Angelo Furlan, one of the oldest men in the races. He also moves away. Quite a stack-up, wasn't it? You saw one of the Euskaltel Guard. He really did hit the ground there as his bike went vertical. They've got to sort themselves out. It's happened in sight of the finishing line for the peloton on the Col d'Ange. Belgian flag on the right there. I wonder if we're going to show you it again. Yes, we are. There's the poor chap from the Euskaltel Usgardi team who went down with quite a slap at the moment. I hope he's okay. It was, in fact, Alan Perez. Well, moments in the ups and downs of a professional bike rider. Hayden Royston there, Paul, the first time he's ridden the Tour de France and the first time he's crashed in it.
Well, and I think the first time he's probably got himself back into the main field as well, because he didn't seem to be under too much pressure there. I think he was quite fine. As we look here at Angelo Ferland, he's trying to get himself back into the main field. He's getting himself nice and relaxed, waiting for all the team cars to come alongside him so he can get himself back into the peloton and hopefully later on challenge for a top finish.
Well, he pulled off a surprise win in the Dauphiné Libre, Angelo Ferland. And unfortunately for David Miller, Miller caught inside of the line, almost could reach out and touch it, and the peloton jumped on his back wheel, and it was Ferland who snatched the stage. And we all felt very sorry for David, because he broke clear around 4 kilometres from the finish, and we really thought he'd had the win. Another change for the Cofidis boys. They're having a busy day as well. This is Moncoutier.
Again.
Do you think he's changed his bike back, possibly?
He may well have done, and he's at the front of the main field a lot of the time. Otherwise, he's sitting on the back end of the peloton. I'm just wondering, he's actually... I'll tell you one thing, Phil, what he's actually done, he has swapped machines, and he's swapped off the bicycle he was on before, because there's no number on that bike. So he's probably taken it back to the team mechanic to try and get whatever the problem was rectified. Because one thing a bike rider doesn't like, although these bikes nowadays are all completely and utterly identical, geometry-wise, size-wise, down to the final millimeter, it's amazing how one bike always feels slightly different to another.
Well, Lampre trying to get through there because they've got their man, Angelo Ferland, also going through. Well, poor old David Moncoutier must feel his Tour de France is all today. He's forever chasing to catch up with the leaders at the moment. Mind you, so is the peloton. 4:23, 51 kilometres to go.
Well, these guys will start to feel a little bit more confident now as they keep their time gap still locked in at 4.5 minutes. Over the last 20 kilometres, it certainly hasn't continued to go down.
No, that's absolutely right, Paul. And in fact, the Col d'Ange did nothing to activate anything in the peloton because they fell off on the climb up, and so preoccupied a little bit. So there will have to be a pretty vicious chase back very shortly now to bring these boys to heel. And if Mark Cavendish is going to win this stage today, he's going to have to say to his Team Columbia squad, come on up here. We'll tell you more about Mark when we come back.
It was the biggest mistake in my career to stop the time.
Wouldn't it be great if it were easy to spot the good guys? You know, the guys who do a super job. Introducing the Super Guarantee. Go to superpages.com to find a business with the Super Guarantee. We're so confident in these super businesses, we stand behind their services. You'll get the job done right, or we'll step in and help to make it right. Sign up for free at superpages.com. The new Super Guarantee, making the good guys easy to find.
Hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
Hi there. Looks like you found your car insurance.
Yeah, but wow, it looks like you guys have everything.
We sure do. We help millions of people save. Look, we're #1 in motorcycle insurance, a leader in boat and RV, and...
Oh, wait, let me guess. You're the #1 truck insurer.
Wow, first guess!
Nailed it.
Oh, you're psychic! What am I thinking of right now?
Tacos?
Yes! Helping you save money no matter what you drive. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
What's up, Kat? I'm reading an article about that new show, It's On, with Alexa Chung.
What? Alexa's live show will allow her to say and do whatever she wants.
True that.
Then why are you wasting your time?
Because that jacket she's wearing is fierce.
I saw it first.
It's On with Alexa Chung, weekdays at noon.
For 54 holes of Denver's most amazing mini golf, powerful electric go-karts, and dueling dragsters, make it a day at Adventure Golf and Raceway. Come live the adventure today.
Welcome back, where we all agree the Tour de France is the most epic race ever, and it continues tomorrow right here on Versus. We'll be looking at stage 3 as we move from Marseille to La Grande Motte, live 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and then on Tuesday the team time trial hits you in Montpellier. That's also 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and don't miss either our nightly expanded coverage, which starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time. That's the Tour de France on Versus. Let me also remind you, you can watch the race live on versus.com. Trouble at the back, but getting back into it again. This is David Moncoutier for the second time today, having to recover himself and rejoin the leaders. The leaders, by the way, just moments ago went through the sprint. I can't tell you who won at the moment, but they have gone through in log. They're not really fighting out the sprints. There's no time bonuses this year, so they're just taking the small prize money at the line. If it all comes together, one man we're going to mention a lot is Mark Cavendish. So in case he does win, we better get you all ready. So let's find out then, just who is he? He is the fastest man in the world right now, Mark Cavendish.
I'm a bike racer. My job is to cross the line first.
There's nobody even comparing.
After 2007, you know, my first season, I didn't think after 11 wins I'd be able to be quite successful, and I stated that at the beginning of 2008. But yeah, what a season! It was even better, you know. I think 18 wins, 6 Grand Tour stages. The highlight being the Tour de France. I think 4 stages there was super.
Cavendish is there, and he's done it. He gets it. That is unbelievable. He has got his second win of the Tour de France. Mark Cavendish becomes the first British cyclist to ever win 3 stages in a Tour de France, and no one can match Mark Cavendish. It's a long way to the line. Make it number 4. He is totally untouchable. And the big news today is that the sprinter Mark Cavendish, the winner of 4 stages, has not started the Tour de France today. He's now going to concentrate on a medal at the Olympic Games.
There's only 2 real ways I can get better at riding the Tour after 4 stage wins, and that's to finish. It was the biggest mistake in my career to stop the Tour. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but yeah, for sure, I would, even between the Tour and the Olympics, I would thought maybe it's not the best thing to have done to have left the Tour. But yeah, I can't look back and say I could have, would have, should have. You know, the only way you get results is to live off your mistakes and focus on the future. If I can win on the Champs-Élysées, then hopefully if I ride the same as I rode the Tour in 2008, I could have done enough to secure the green as well, you know. As long as I make Paris and hopefully win on the Champs-Élysées, then I'll be content.
Yes, Mark really does regret not finishing the Tour last year. He saved himself for the Olympics, and ironically, he was the only British track cyclist to return from Beijing without a medal. And so he was even more sad about that. But he's back now, and he wants to add. People are offering odds on him winning 5 stages this year in the Tour de France. We'll find out. But Mark Cavendish, like him or loathe him, and I think everybody likes him. Sometimes he's construed as being a little bit cocky and a big ego. Well, why not? He is the best bike rider when it comes to sprinting, and he likes winning. As we look here at Stuart O'Grady, one Australian not in the race, of course, is because he broke his leg, is Robbie McEwen, the sprinter, really, who we often compare Mark Cavendish with, Paul. Cavendish, I think, taking over from McEwen as the fastest bike rider in the sprints.
Well, I noticed that, in fact, Robbie McEwen himself, Phil, had said that he felt that Mark Cavendish was like looking at a Robbie McEwen of 10 years ago. He felt he was a similar kind of sprinter, because Cavendish is one of those guys, yes, he can have the big lead out from George Hincapie or from Mark Renshaw, but if he gets involved in the confusion of the running towards the finish and he finds himself in 6th or 7th position, he always seems to have the ability to find the way out. And as a sprinter, you've got to see what we call a door in front of you. Sometimes that door opens, but you've got to have the speed to get through it, because it might only be open for a nanosecond. And that's the special thing I think about Mark Cavendish. He knows exactly how to position himself to almost provoke the door opening.
It's worth noting now the yellow and black and white jerseys of Cavendish's Columbia team have moved towards the front here to share the chase with the Saxo Bank. because if you notice on the clock, the gap has stopped coming down. In fact, it's nudged a few seconds the wrong way. So if the sprinters teams don't start helping now, these boys are not going to catch the 4 leaders. It's as simple as that.
I think they'll give it another 3 or 4 kilometers. You can see the sprinters teams now, Phil, are starting to assemble. You've got Katusha over on the left-hand side. The Russian squad there starting to get themselves into an organized position. High Road HTC, they're moving up as well for Mark Cavendish. They have to make sure that they don't start chasing too far out from the finish, because if they do that, they don't have enough energy left to lead out the last, more important 5 kilometers.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? Katusha, they have Danilo Napolitano on their squad as a pretty fast sprinter. So who is going to start chasing down in earnest? They don't want to catch them 5K out. They want to have them in the bag, perhaps 10K to go. A lot of work to be done, and the tour still to finish. We'll see in a moment.
The hotter the hot. The colder the cold. The greater the demand, the more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Batteries built to meet or exceed original equipment standards for cold cranking amps. Batteries built with the power to hold up to heavy electrical demands. Batteries so good they come with a coast-to-coast warranty. Only at AutoZone.
My name is Esther.
They gave her a home.
Do you like it? It's perfect.
But she is not who you think she is.
The orphanage you thought she came from has never heard of her.
On July 24th.
Esther started the fire.
Oh, come on. Esther has a secret.
She's been lying to me.
You'll never see coming.
You don't know how long I've waited for a family like yours.
Orphan, rated R, starts July 24th.
We now offer phone service for $1.70 a month with Magic Jack. That's just $19.95 a year. $19.95 a year. We give you free local and long distance and your own phone number. Replace your phone company or add a second line with Magic Jack.
If you think all batteries are the same, consider this. A tornado hits. Air Life Denver takes off. Their night vision goggles keeping the rescue mission safe. And powering those goggles, the only battery Air Life trusts. Duracell, trusted everywhere.
At TireRack.com, we stock the largest selection of tires anywhere, all at great low prices. But we don't just ship them off to your house after you buy them. We can deliver them to one of over 5,000 of our independent recommended local installers. Because the best tires in the world can't help you if they're not properly installed on your vehicle. A national network of over 5,000 recommended installers. One more way, Tire Rack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires.
TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Welcome back. Second day in the hot sun of the Tour de France. At 167 kilometers to go, 4 men are in the clear. 115 to go. Frank Scheff managed to fall off. 53 to go. Hayden Royalson was among the fallers, along with Angelo Furlan. They're all okay, and they're all still chasing those 4 men up front. It's been a very hot day in racing today, and I think now we're going to finally see a counter move by Mark Cavendish's Team Columbia, which of course, let's not forget, Paul, is an American team and also the team that's won the most races this year, and Mark's played his part there.
Well, he certainly has, and I think all of a sudden, he had said before the start this morning he didn't really want to have a quick look at today's stage because he felt it wasn't one of the ones that he'd really geared himself up for. But I think by the fact that he's just sent a rider to the front end of the main field,
got a couple up there now,
and the fact that the main field is stretching out into this big long line is an indication that Cavendish is serious about Brignoles.
The ante has been upped now. I think it's because Saxo Bank has kept the race just within reach because they want to keep the jersey on Cancellara, that now it's a time for the sprinters team to take advantage of that very tactic. I think that we'll look for other teammates coming through as well, because there are other sprinters here. Although Mark is the obvious winner, there are guys who can beat him. For example, Garmin's Tyler Farrar has done it this year. He is quick, and if you get the combination on the approach to the line right, advantage you. The 4 leaders then down to 4:10. Look how quickly they've lost half a minute.
Well, all of a sudden, when the main field, Phil, starts to get themselves serious about the bike race, they can eat very rapidly into the breakaway's advantage. And as you can see, they're being very good.
40.4 kilometers left to ride. That's 20 miles. Don't forget, by the way, to log on to versus.com/ride of your life every day during the tour for a chance to win a trip to the Tour de France next year. Also the Cervelo S2 bicycle. You can win also the polka dot jersey and a yellow jersey. Bob Roll, Craig Hummer, Phil Liggett, that's me. And of course, Paul Sherwen will sign it for you. There's today's code word. It is sprint. Now let's have a little pan down the group. 2 Team Columbia riders breaking into the Saxo household, and they're quite happy. The rider with the red top in his jersey there, last year was Frank Schleck, champion of Luxembourg. This year it's his brother Andy Schleck, who won the title last weekend, in fact a week ago today.
It's amazing to think it was only a week ago, but this now you can see the speed of the main field. They have all of a sudden they've taken it up a notch. They've probably ranked it up from 44 kilometers an hour up to close to 50 kilometers an hour, and they will remain at that tempo all the way down to the outskirts of Brignoles, where then you'll see this main field start to pick it up to 55 kilometers an hour. And in the sprint over the last 200 to 300 meters, a sprinter can touch almost 72 to 75 kilometers an hour for a short period of time.
Well, all the hills behind the riders now, just the checker flag sits ahead of them, and it's a very fast run into the finish in Brignoles. Well, as we're looking here, the face of Vaikkonen, he is the rider who is going to be the first Finnish boy to pull on the polka dot jersey. Well, there are other fast events, of course, on Versus, and I'm talking about the IndyCar events, because July 26th, Sunday, the IndyCar series on Versus storms into Canada for the Grand Prix of Edmonton. And midway through the season, young gun Ryan Briscoe and Dario Franchitti are locked in a very tight points battle there. But to capture the crown, they'll have to fend off the defending champ, Scott Dixon, and the world's best drivers. The Indy Grand Prix of Edmonton, live Sunday, July 26th, 5 Eastern's the time, of course, here on Versus. Look at that now. They're causing, that's the helicopter blowing the grapevine. Boy, I hope it doesn't blow the grapes off. There will be trouble in camp. Look at the speed there as the heads of the Tour de France flash by now. There gives you some idea how fast these guys can pedal a bike. Being driven on by Kurt Atle Arvesen, the champion of Norway. Bottles being passed around to the team leader and also the race leader, the yellow jersey of Fabian Cancellara. So just to remind you, the graphic you see popping up on our little picture there is showing the location of the jerseys. They are all together for the 4 leaders' jerseys, and the blue jersey is the one of Lance Armstrong. He too is in there. All 5 together at the moment. They'd like to be in the same company as the 4 leaders right now, but they are closing in fast. 2 riders up here now from the Team Columbia squad. So there's no doubt now that Mark Cavendish has decided he wants to win today, and he's offered 2 men into the sacrificial lamb situation. We'll be back in a moment.
Who's delivering these strawberry peanut butter M&Ms?
That big truck.
When your engine's running clean, you feel it. And Pennzoil Platinum Motor Oil cleans out up to 46% of sludge in your first oil change and continues to clean in your next change. Feel our ultimate clean. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
Made it the hottest new comedy of the year.
I told you.
So we're giving you more of what you want.
Turkey bacon. Yeah. Carl, I didn't know pigs and turkeys be made.
More Brown.
I love food.
See brand new episodes of Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. Wednesdays at 10 after House of Pain.
Only on TBS. Very funny.
MagicFinancing.com. Apply today and take the first step toward getting the car you deserve at MagicFinancing.com.
What's up, Kat?
I'm reading an article about that new show, It's On, with Alexa Chung.
What? Alexa's live show will allow her to say and do whatever she wants.
True that.
Then why are you wasting your time?
Because that jacket she's wearing is fierce.
I saw it first.
It's On with Alexa Chung, weekdays at noon.
For adventurous birthday parties and group outings, check out the amazing mini golf, go-karts, and dueling dragsters at Adventure Golf and Raceway. Call or click now for low group rates.
The Tour de France on Versus, it is the shop window of the sport. Follow the world's best riders online with exclusive tour content at Versus.com. Plus, you can sign up for the Versus Map My Ride Tour Challenge, and you could win a trip to France to see the winner cross the finishing line in Paris. The Tour de France at Versus.com. Yes, the Tour de France now is becoming quite angry down there. There's all the yellow numbers of Team Astana. That is Lance Armstrong creeping up on the far left of our picture to chivvy up the boys because they now want to finish off this breakaway of 4 riders. Mark Cavendish is there alongside Lance Armstrong right now. And I think if we just go back down to the start line, we can have another conversation with Mark before he set off today.
Mark, it's the first sprint stage of this year's Tour de France. Lots of nerves, lots of expectation on you. How are you tolerating all the pre-race jitters?
Oh, it's okay, you know. I've got good form, I've got a strong team, and it's a beautiful day. It's good to do it.
It's a lumpy stage today, kind of some difficult climbs early on. Are you worried about the terrain, or is it all systems go?
No, you know, it's not mountains for sure. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be the same for everyone. You know, it's always nice to ride in the Tour de France, so you know, his legs are going to be a little bit blocked, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll end in a bunch sprint anyway.
You won a lot of stages last year. Everyone's touting you as the fastest man in the world. People are thinking you're going to win the green jersey and win a bunch of stages. What would make this a successful tour for you?
You know, it's the Tour de France. You've got to be... There's 190 guys, all the best guys in the world going for what they can. And, you know, I'll be definitely happy. I want to reach Paris. I haven't reached Paris yet, so I want to reach Paris, and obviously my job's to win. So if I can win at least the stage and then reach Paris, it'll be successful for me.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
What a cool character he is, Mark Cavendish, the greatest cyclist ever to come from the little tiny island which has its own government, the Isle of Man, off the coast of Liverpool and Morecambe Bay. Well, Cavendish, you don't come much cooler than Mark Cavendish. He never gets excited. You can't tell if he's frightened or not, Paul. He's laid back. He said it might be a success if he considers his tour success if he wins one stage, but he really means 5. It might be a success if we get to Paris.
But I think the great thing about Mark Cavendish, Phil, is he is very honourable to his team. The first thing he always says is, I couldn't have done it without them. It's the first thing he says when he opens his mouth after he's crossed the line and he gets the interview. He thanks his team and he looks for them. He searches them out in the rumble at the finish of any bike race that he's just won and goes straight to them to say, thanks very much for everything you've done for me.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Well, there's some more of our beautiful buildings around here. If we ever know one that's up for sale, we'll let you know, because this is the place to come and move to. This is the Château de Vin sur Carmy, and that's the department number. The department is number 83, which is the Var here in France.
And strangely enough, it was built by the family of the Garde way back in the 16th century, and we're not far away from going through the department of the Garde, and that will go through, I think, tomorrow on our way down to the finish in Le Grand Mot.
These are the 4 leaders on today's stage of the Tour de France: Steph Clement, Cyril Dessel, Jussi Veikkonen and Stefan Ogier. I thought they had a chance, but all of a sudden Mark Cavendish has put 2 riders off his team into the chase to help out Saxo Bank. The result, they brought it from 4:40 to 2:46 in a matter of a few kilometres. 34 to go. 2:46 the gap. We're going to have a very exciting finale today.
Still a long organisation at the front from Team Saxo Bank. The green jersey there moving up to the front of Brad Wiggins. Wiggins currently lying in 3rd place in the overall classification, but he's got a job in hand to do as well this afternoon. He can't just ride for himself, because Team Garmin Slipstream have got a very good young sprinter on their squad, Tyler Farrar, and I think he'll be looking today to try and challenge Mark Cavendish and maybe get one over on him as he did earlier in the season.
Yes, he's almost as fast as Mark, but in a big pack and a big melee like this, it doesn't mean you lose because you're not as fast. You've got to outmaneuver your man in the pack, try and get an advantage, maybe go through on the inside of a rider instead of the outside. Note the wind direction and see exactly where that finishing banner is flying, so you make sure your effort hits the line at full speed.
This is Inigo Cuesta on the front in the white jersey of Team Cervelo Test Team. That's an indication, of course, that Mr. Thor Hushovd is feeling quite good this afternoon as well, so he's sent a man up to the front to whip up the pacemaking. And look at that gap now. It's only 2.5 minutes.
Yes, and let's not forget either that Thor Hushovd is the one and only man to have won the green jersey for the Scandinavian country of Norway. Tonight we have another Scandinavian pulling on the polka dot jersey in Jussi Veikkonen. Don't go too far away. It's going to get exciting shortly.
Visa debit is easier than cash and checks. More people go explore with Visa.
What are you waiting for? All around the world, men with erectile dysfunction have asked their doctors about Cialis. Ask your doctor if a Cialis option is right for you. Because in addition to 36-hour Cialis, there's another dosing option. Cialis for daily use, a low-dose tablet you take every day, so you can be ready anytime the moment is right.
Tell your doctor about your medical condition and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away.
36-hour Cialis or Cialis for daily use. So when the moment is right, you can be ready.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, you take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, and you're gone. did 19 last year, and it's kind of a crazy feeling. You got all these friends at college taking history exams, yet I'm sitting there going 230 miles an hour. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes. It's gotta be a new
Tuesday's Versus delivers sports from soup to nuts. First at 11, no one in the sports world can hide from the sports soup's Matt Eastman. Then at 11:30, pride and passion mixed with a dose of insanity when the fans take over. Zach Selwyn hosts Fanarchy. Sports soup and Fanarchy back to back. That's Tuesdays right here on Versus. As we look down from the helicopter, nice little sprinkling of different jerseys getting in the mix now. Cervello has sent a man up. Columbia have 2 men. Saxo Bank is still there. The chase is on. Into Carces at the moment as the riders continue on. We are now 32 kilometers from the line here, and let me just have a look at the watch. At 16:30, we're not running on the fastest of times of the peloton, but 2:24 the gap. Less than a minute now. Cancellara's yellow jersey will be safe, but who's going to win the stage? Dancing on the pedals now as we race through this small village here of Carces with 20 miles or 30 kilometers to go. Team Columbia High Road, HTC, new sponsors for the Tour, are now very much taking a leading part here, and the only thought is to steer Mark Cavendish to victory.
Cavendish will be looking to his men this afternoon. He'll want to rally them round, but he will want to make sure that they've still got plenty of energy left for the last 10 kilometers. It's in the last 10 kilometers for the sprinters that everything starts to get a little bit complicated when you see different teams starting to get the lineup going for their individual sprinters, and that's when you have to have the top team to be able to, when somebody starts to come along and begin to swamp you, just ask your guys to turn up the throttle a fraction and take you a little bit further forward and keep you out of the dangerousness of the middle end of the pack.
Well, keep an eye on the clock now. It's only a second at a time it's ticking off, but that'll do. As they continue now to drag this peloton into a long, thin line. The boys at the back have no interest in the day. They're just hoping to get to the finish. Just to explain how the race is timed for the yellow jersey, if you finish in the big bunch, you all receive the same time. Now, it's a common sense reason, because if they split timed everybody, it would be a mass of guys trying to get to the front and there'd be carnage. So as long as you're in the group, you will receive the same time. So Cancellara might want to keep his nose clean and take no part in the finish.
Well, in that leading group of 4, Staff Clement is their best placed rider. He lost 1 minute and 28 seconds yesterday in the time trial. That in itself is not a bad performance. He's a very good time trialist. In fact, he's been the champion of his own country, Holland, in the time trial. But here he's working with these other 3 riders to try and survive. They had that maximum advantage, 5 1/4 minutes, but now it's starting to come down, and they're being given the time there of 2:15. But in fact, the proper time, which is communicated, the proper time communicated by GPS, is down to 2:09.
Yes, that's the advantage of the airwaves rather than the blackboard there and the motorbike. Time he gets up to the leaders, he's already lost 5 seconds. But they know that they're coming. They know at this stage of any stage of the Tour de France there is a reaction from the field. Anxious faces at the front, because there's always the gamble, and breakaways do succeed. And so you've got to stick to your guns and hope that they slip up in the back rows there.
You can never give up until the moment you can feel the breath of the main field on the back of your neck, and that's why these riders will keep riding, because anything can happen in the main field behind. You could have a crash, you could have a mass pile-up, you could have the main fielder possibly making a mistake and taking the wrong route, although that's quite a difficult thing to do at the Tour de France. There are too many people.
They are, and they stand around the road junctions. The rider just peeping in there, number 83, that's Cyril Dessel. Another team has changed its colours for the Tour de France, AG2R, called up for a drink of water, because at 20 kilometres to go, all those drinks of water are stopped, and the riders are left alone to get on with the race. But he has worn the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. He did it back in 2006, only for 1 day. But that's more than most people in the world, and he finished 6th in the Tour de France that year, by far his best event. Now let's have a look here as they come round the corner. Bradley Wiggins there, guiding Garmin Slipstream into the action for Tyler Farrar. They're just on 2 minutes the advantage. They're closing in. We'll see in a moment.
offer phone service for $1.70 a month with Magic Jack. That's just $19.95 a year. $19.95 a year. We give you free local and long distance and your own phone number. Replace your phone company or add a second line with Magic Jack.
Now it's easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with the new Super Guarantee, you'll get the job done right, or we'll step in and help to make it right. Look for it on superpages.com. The Super Guarantee, making the good guys easy to find.
We believe in long rides and the stories they bring.
And it was just some soupy mud and just going over the bars.
We believe in simplicity and the idea that complex problems can be solved in a simple way. We believe in firsts and in lifestyles that last. We believe in the power of giving back and never giving up. We believe in bikes.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
It's the symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know, it's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour all season long on Golf Channel.
Ouch. Well, there's just a little bit of the chaos. We've seen a little bit today, 1 or 2 shunts, not quite as bad as those, but of course there's a long way to go in this year's Tour de France. Now, I hope watching the show today is Craig Hummer and Bob Roll. Let's check in and see if they're paying attention. Are you there, Craig?
Why, yes, we are, Mr. Liggett, enjoying the show, as are you, as we get ready to bring you the finish of stage number 2. But up in prime time, your cohort, Paul Sherwen, is going to join us talking about a couple cycling greats. And you've got a question, John, to ask Bobke, which we'll talk about later.
We'll have some Ask Bobke in a little while, and that always provides a lot of entertainment for everybody.
And a new feature this year, Phil, that you're going to want to tune into. It's going to give you that inside scoop. Every day, we're going to try to get inside the Garmin Slipstream bus. So that all coming up on our expanded primetime coverage later tonight.
Thanks very much, Craig. Crikey, you know, we might have a British rider on Garmin in yellow after the team time trial on Tuesday. Bradley Wiggins, well placed at the moment in 3rd overall. The boys can ride a team time trial. Could be very interesting on Tuesday. The Tour has many quirks, many twists and turns. There's the 25 kilometers to go, Banner, now. Still plenty of time to bring these boys back, but not a lot of time to waste. So about 1:34, the gap pull, 25 kilometers to go. At which kilometer will they catch?
I'd have to say I'd be looking at around about 12 kilometers to go for the catch to happen, and that's if they continue at the same speed. But what happens sometimes is when they're about to make the catch, they slow down because they don't want to catch the breakaway too far out from the finish. It's much more controllable if you catch them in the last 5 or 6 kilometers, because then that prevents any last-minute counter moves going off the front end of the main field.
Well, they're just carrying on the chase here. 2 riders on the front for Team Columbia HTC. Saxo Bank still making sure they keep the Maillot Jaune, the Queen Bee, Fabian Cancellara in the right place, last of their line. The speedboat's just about hanging on, but I tell you what, mate, it's cheaper to go by bike.
It certainly is. By the way, it's just gone to 1 minute and 26 seconds, so Fabian Cancellara is back in the driving seat of the Tour de France. We've gone through all of the difficulties of the day, Phil, the third category climbs, the fourth category climbs. There's one little lump on the run in towards the outskirts of Brignoles, but I don't think that's going to scare any of the sprinters at all, because it's what we would describe in the sport of professional cycling as a false flat.
Well, there's this beautiful man-made lake here, flooded to act as a reservoir. There is the peloton coursing down the same side. And now it's just 1:26. The reason Paul says it's now Cancellara back in yellow, he started the day 1:28 ahead of Steph Clement. So he's now back in yellow by those 2 seconds. Clement still in that breakaway. But dreams of a yellow jersey tonight have faded, I'm afraid. They're going down on the hillside with the evening sun. 1:22 now.
Well, just looking across at that lake, Phil, a lot of people who call this lake Lake Cassez says it very much resembles one of the Scandinavian fjords. And it was created, as I said, as a man-made lake. It stores 8 million cubic meters of water. And it's at the far end of it, there's a 7-meter fall.
Well, it's one of the most important lakes in this region, that is for sure, and our riders are giving you the full view of it today. Just we can't see the riders at the moment, but they're down there in the woods just now as they continue to chase around the corner here, what appears to be a little bit of a peninsula. There they come, and moving very quickly now as they continue to drive this race. We're down to 1:26 and coming down all of the time. The Tour de France is closing in on the day's 4 heroes. Very soon there'll be a 180 up sprint.
Time trial is special. You go on the start line, you are alone, and you have to perform. Specialized bike fitting was here to get something better out of me. Sometimes you ride, but maybe with the wrong position. And this little bit was changed, even when it's only 1 second out of 1 hour race. I want to get the best out of myself, and I want to get the best out of my bike.
At TireRack.com, we don't just sell tires, we test them on our unique test track. Our results are honest, unbiased, and as real as it gets. Use this information to help decide which tires are right for you, your vehicle, how you drive it, and where you drive it. It's not just a test track, it's truth serum for tires. And it's only at Tire Rack, the Tire Rack Test Track. One more way, Tire Rack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
I live automobiles, I work on automobiles, and I drive them for a living. This shop and all its tools and equipment didn't just happen overnight. I didn't just go to bed one night and wake up the next morning a stunt driver. This is the doggies doodads. The coolest spot is right here. It's about as low as you can put a camera and run through city streets. I knew that whatever equipment I was going to invest my money into, I was going to use for life. This isn't a fad. This isn't something I saw that caught my interest one day. It's what I do.
The internet. If you're using it to communicate, shop, and gather information, then you're doing it all wrong. The web was invented so you could see stuff like this.
I'm a local mom. All right, thank you.
That's why we're proud to introduce Web Soup, the finest internet videos the way they were meant to be seen on your television. And you're welcome.
Web Soup, hosted by Chris Hardwick, all new tonight at 9, only on G4.
If human achievement can be determined not by speed or strength, but by character, then it's easy to see who the most amazing athletes really are. Be a fan of dignity, acceptance, and the human race. volunteer, coach, or compete in Special Olympics.
Welcome back. They're the contenders, we think, for the final overall in Paris. This is where they stand after the first day of racing. Contador is in second place. Cadel Evans sits fifth. Levi Leipheimer and Lance Armstrong, two teammates, sit sixth and 10th. Christian van der Velde, fourth last year, is 17th. Schleck 18th. And last year's winner, Sastre, he sits 21st and probably has lost a little bit too much time there, 1 minute and 6 seconds. Well, we expect a sprint finish now, but they've got to finish this job off first, and that is why the teammates of Mark Cavendish are driving. The help has come up from Cervelo as well for Thor Hushovd, and Saxo Bank are just gently mixing in with them, but primarily keeping out of it now because they've regained all the time they require to keep Cancellara in yellow today. So as we look down towards the finish, it's a good chance now to catch up with our men, Robbie Venturi and Frankie Andreu, at the finish line.
I spoke with several of the sprinters earlier this morning, and it was obvious they were very nervous about the finish. For today is the first day the fast men can prove to not only themselves, but to their teams that they can win here at the Tour de France. The second thing today happens is a pecking order amongst the sprinters. The higher you are in that pecking order, the more respect you get from not only the sprinters, but their teams. That respect goes a long way in reducing the battling in those final few kilometers. For more on today's stage, Frankie Andreu.
With 1.5 kilometers to go, the riders will come around the last roundabout, and then they have a wide, straight road with new pavement. Now it's the first day of the Tour. These guys are excited, they're motivated, the directors are yelling at them, and they have fresh legs. That means more riders are going to be fighting for the front, everybody trying to go for the win. Just back there's a last left-hand turn bend. They have to be careful not to be in the inside in case it bunches up. But if it's one strong line with riders doing a lead out, look just past this point where the riders are going to take off, shift it into 6th gear, and have the last dash to the finish.
Thanks, guys. Said with feeling there, Frankie was a great Tour rider himself. Now, as we look at the peloton, let me give you a final reminder, and don't forget to log on to versus.com/Ride Your Life. You do it every day. A chance to win a trip for two to the 2010 Tour, a Cervelo bicycle. You can also win a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey. It's for use, the same as the ones we used in the Cadillac Performance. This is the word you will require: sprint. So go on board and check it out. 20 kilometers to go. This 20 kilometers or 12 miles to the finish. That's just over 20 minutes of racing for these boys as they close in at high speed. It's a difficult. There's the local cycling club, Jean Dotto. Paul, do you remember Jean Dotto? 13 tours.
No, I don't.
I do. I didn't see him. I know he's too old for me, but I remember him. Yes, that used to be in those old bromide pictured magazines in those days. 58, I think it was. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? I was telling you about the finish. Yes, the finish approach, Paul, is not terribly wide, although it's very good pavement. And it's going to be a wide, sweeping, gentle curve to the line, too. It's going to be not for the nervous.
Definitely not for the nervous. The last 5 kilometers are fine. It's a good run into the outskirts of Brignoles. Then at around about 1.5 kilometers to go, there is one of those French traffic circles which will split up the main field, and the riders will go left and right. But with 1.5 kilometers to go, they straighten up, and then there is that sweeping bend, but they can see the finish line for the last 500 or 600 meters.
Cervelo setting the pace now, along with Team Columbia, HTC. Astana are keeping themselves in the picture, but I don't think they're trying to win the race. I think they're trying to keep the likes of Alberto Contador, Lance Armstrong, Levi Leipheimer at the sharp end of the race and hopefully out of trouble, because, you know, once the sprinters start to ply their trade, it gets a little bit hairy out there. You can see from this helicopter shot just how narrow it is down in the streets as we come through Cabas, which is again another beautiful Provence town.
Well, another reason for riding at the front, and the trouble that these riders can get themselves involved in, is accidents and risks that are being taken by the teams of the sprinters trying to get their men up to the front end of the main field. And you see how narrow these streets are. Well, riders start to panic a little bit as they get closer to the finish and want to get themselves into the first 15 or 20 places, and sometimes they cut corners, and that's when accidents happen. And if you're trying to win this bike race overall, one thing you don't want to do is lose any time, especially what they call stupid time. Time getting caught up behind a crash on the run in towards the finish. That's why Astana are at the front, riding as a solid block.
Just looking at the four riders, it's a good time to explain a special rule here which is brought into the Tour because of the likelihood of a crash. So if you do have an accident in the last 3 kilometers, 1.5 miles, you're given the same time as the group you are with. There's the finish. That's a live shot. In comes the caravan. Next will be the race.
Hotter the hot, the colder the cold, the greater the demand. The more you need Duralast, batteries built to exceed the need. Only at AutoZone.
Trish was relaxing on her Friday commute when she realized she forgot to pick up a movie. She needed to get to a video store fast, or all the good DVDs would be gone.
If Trish had Netflix, she could even watch some movies instantly on her TV.
Take the drama out of renting.
Netflix, DVDs by mail, plus some movies instantly on your TV. Only $8.99 a month.
Right now, all over the country, Discover Card customers are getting 5% cashback bonus at the pump. Now more than ever, it pays to discover.
Painting will never be the same. Wagner brings you the only power painter with Optimus dual tip technology. With a more refined spray pattern here, Wagner's dual tip design delivers better paint coverage here, superior control here, and a beautiful finish here. All of which adds more to life out here. The new Optimus Power Painter with dual tip technology, only from Wagner. The finish you want, the value you're looking for.
It's this symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight, with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know, it's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour, all season long, on Golf Channel.
Possibility that something can go wrong in the...
Now, this is a great game. Don't forget to log on to Versus.com, create your very own fantasy cycling team. Most of all, it's free, and you can win exclusive prizes such as signed team gear from Garmin, Columbia, Astana, and more. The Versus Fantasy Cycling Challenge is only at Versus.com, of course. Now, remember, the first 4 days of the Tour de France, you're in for practice, but after that, you're in for goods. So plenty of time to sign up. As we rejoin the action here, we just moments ago have gone under 15 kilometers to go, which is about 9 and a bit miles. They haven't caught them yet. Computers telling us they'll catch them at 5.5 miles from the finish. They're wonderful things, those computers, aren't they? They seem to know everything. There doesn't seem any much point in doing it when the computers give all the answers. Doesn't work like that, does it? But the boys from Cervelo and Team Columbia now, there's the 15 kilometers for the peloton. They're closing in pretty fast, Paul. Astana, interesting this, isn't it? They brought all the team up to the front, which includes Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador.
It's important for them, Phil. Of course, it's not really important for them to try and win the stage, but it's important to make sure they don't get involved in any of these silly crashes
like
that can very much easily happen in a day like this. And that's why Alberto Contador, Lance Armstrong, Andreas Klöden, Levi Leipheimer, all of the Astana squad are up at the front end of the main field, making sure that they reduce the chance of being involved in an accident like that.
41 seconds is the gap. Jussi Väikkönen on the front. He's grimacing, but he is a leader of the mountains when he gets to the finish today. And I think that's very important. But there's our washing line of jerseys on screen at the moment. The coloured jersey are of the leaders, and the blue jersey far left, that is the jersey of the location of Lance Armstrong. And there he is, number 22. The reason they've got yellow numbers on, by the way, is they won the team race yesterday, and so they are the leaders of the team competition overall. All in the peloton when the jerseys are all together. I'm sure that won't always be the case over the next 3 weeks. Yellow numbers on Astana there, Paul. 22 is Lance. Down there too is the polka dot jersey, which is being worn by Lance's teammate, and that is Alberto Contador. He's lost the jersey now to Väikkönen up in the breakaway today. As you say, he won't be too worried about that.
He's not concerned about that at all. It's great to see that despite all the talk in the press, Phil, about the breakup in the team, the divorce between Armstrong and Contador, they're riding now as a solid professional squad. And I think that's the important thing to remember about Johan Brunel. You know, he's directed 8 victories at the Tour de France, and not to forget, he's also directed victories at the Vuelta a España and the Giro d'Italia as well. But he's the man who's got to rally this team together. Despite all the things that are being said in the press, he's still got to win this bike race, whether it was with Contador, whether it's with Klöden, Leipheimer, or even with Armstrong. And he's the man who's got to keep them together as a gelled group. And they're doing a fairly good job now, because they're all pretty much together at the front end of the pack on the right-hand side.
We've briefly gone back up to the leaders here, but we're looking at 32 seconds. You better get a good look at them now, because they're going to be lost in a melee of 176 chases any second now. Seeing the front of that peloton, we've seen the one Cervelo rider, and I think, in fact, it's Volodymyr Gustov who's doing the work on from the UK there. But not just for Thor Hushovd, Paul, because Heinrich Hausler is also a fast finisher. So they may have a decision to make on the running.
Well, it depends how Heinrich is feeling. He had a fantastic start to the season. He almost got himself the victory in Milano Sanremo when he was trying to lead the sprint out for Thor Hushovd, but Hushovd didn't get onto his wheel. And all of a sudden, the Aussie German was off the front end of the pack, only caught and passed in the last few meters by Mark Cavendish in a very dramatic lunge for the line.
It's wonderful, the way these guys can time it to absolute perfection. Here we have another example of the rabbits running all day, and suddenly they're all blown off the road as the peloton picks them up. Well, they haven't done it quite yet, but with just on 8 miles or so left to race, they're going to get there very, very soon. When the helicopter pans left, I think we might see some action coming through the vineyards here in the department of the Var. They will not make it, that's for sure now. And in fact, there's a signal. The race referee has gone forward. The neutral service car has gone forward. This is the last chance they're being given now. The senior race referee has instructed the gap to stay as a complete void. Oh, does it matter?
That, Phil, is a lot less than 30 seconds. It just goes to show you how quickly it comes down in the last few meters as they start to get closer. It's a sad feeling for those men in the breakaway once they see that red car being pushed out of the gap, because they know it's pretty much all over for them.
I think the big man up front there for Team Columbia HCT is Bernard Eisel, who himself is a very good sprinter, but here they admit there's only one man going to win a stage for them, and it'll be Mark Cavendish. The yellow jersey note of Cancellara. Now, Cancellara can sprint. He is an incredibly strong bike rider, and he's right on the sharp end, but he's preoccupied now. He knows he only has to finish in this field to keep his jersey. He may not get involved.
Don't discount him, though. I think if you cast your mind back to the last time he had the yellow jersey on his shoulders, Phil, he was riding into the town of Compiègne in the north of France, and all of a sudden, when it looked like it was going to be a normal bunch sprint to the line, the yellow jersey came out of the pack, and boom, there he was. Yep. Fabian Cancellara getting himself a stage victory with the yellow jersey on his shoulders.
Stéphane Ogier possibly riding his final Tour de France. ridden 7 of them. He's getting on a little bit now. He's into his 30s. And he's still content to drive on. It's been a long, hot day, frying in the sun for these boys. They've been in the lead for about 150 kilometers today. They got over 5 minutes at one stage. You know, we're constantly asked if all the drug scandals which have so often surrounded this race has ever affected its popularity. Well, judge for yourself. It hasn't. And I think that this year, these riders are probably, because of all the increased drugs tests, are trying to get a much fairer playing field, because it is true, and again, some journalists won't accept it, not all of these cyclists take drugs, believe me.
Well, I think we've got to the point now, Phil, where it really is a bare minimum and just a crazy few who are trying to cheat the rules and regulations. This is the leading group of 4 riders, escaped after 25 kilometers of the stage here this afternoon, surviving now by around about 20 seconds. And surely in the next kilometer or so, they'll be back in the main field with a brief chance to say hello to the rest of the lads who they were with at the start of the race. And for them, it's going to be a question of get the seatbelt on and see if you can hold on the run down into the finish.
Well, our computer predicted a catch at 9. We are at 11.4 kilometers to go, or 11.2, and it won't be far out, but thank heavens, I hope we prove it wrong, because I hate it when the computer's right. There they come. Look at that, wall to wall now. The sprinters will be licking their lips now. The action for the sprinters is next up. So they stick with it, but for how long now? Maybe to the 9th kilometer to make the computer look good. But now, and there's an attack on this. What happens? Because this is why they try not to catch till the last possible moment, because there's always attacks. This is a team Katusha, the Russian squad, who's trying to draw the sting of the other sprinters' teams now, because Katusha also has a great sprinter in Danilo Napolitano, and this will be a softener. Now, look at that. Everybody else doesn't want to chase on the front. They fanned out a little bit. Our cameras let him go through, which has given me a chance to read his number now, so I'll tell you his name. And this is Mikhail Ignatieff, who's riding his first Tour de France and is about to get in the lead for the first time, because here he comes on the right of the picture. Now, boys, look over your shoulder. There's fresh blood arriving at the front. Maybe one of you can try and go with him. Never say die. Races have been won by the persistent. Well, he's latched on. That's give us 5 riders up front. I think it's probably a diversion, so we'll have to take a commercial break. We'll take it. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's hold the break, everybody, because he's gone again now. The peloton behind are not reorganized here, so Mikhail Ignatieff. The other boys have reacted to this a little bit. They're trying to hang on to him for the moment. Remember, this will draw the stings of the sprint. It's another diversion, because it could help his sprinter here, which is Napolitano, who is a very fast finisher. And the team is now going to, instead of planning their own assault at the finishing line, they've got to reorganize and think what to do about this man who has just attacked. Anyway, he's sort of going clear. We're under 10 kilometers to go. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back for the action. And who's going to get the 35 points for that green jersey today? Mark Cavendish hopes it's him, and so does Ignatieff, come to think it. See you in just a moment.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Oh, come on in. I had some other things you could tell people about Geico. Great claim service and a 97% customer satisfaction rate show people really trust us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Trust is key when talking about Geico. You got to feel it. Why don't you and I practice that with a little exercise where I fall backwards and you catch me?
No, sir. Honestly, I don't think...
No, we can do this.
Oh, dear.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Big Mac, you so want one.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Visa debit is easier than cash and checks. More people go explore with Visa.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back, because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
Welcome back. You're looking at the face here of a 24-year-old in his first Tour de France. His name is Mikhail Ignatiev, a former World Junior Time Trial champion and recently second in his country's National Time Trial Championships in Russia. He's trying to hold them all off. Michael Rogers is driving at the front now. Michael had two unshipped chains in the time trial yesterday. I did him a little bit of an injustice in the commentary because as a former three-time world time trial champion, I thought he did a rather bad time trial, but now we find he unshipped his chain twice and he is driving on the front to try and bring Mark Cavendish to the finish in first place.
Well, I think Mickey Rogers, if he hadn't had those mechanical incidents out on the course, Phil, could have seen himself finishing inside of the top 15, and he probably would have been fairly satisfied with that. The Team Columbia High Road have got a big control over the front end of the main field, but they're not really concerned about this guy at the moment. They don't really want to catch him till 4 or 5 kilometers to go, and then they will start to set up the train of all of the riders that they've got left in the main field to set up the pacemaking on the run in towards the finish and try and make sure that they can just put Mark Cavendish in an ideal position with 300 or 400 meters to go to unleash that sprint of his, which has won him so many races since he turned professional. It's hard to believe, Phil, he's only 24 years of age.
And so's the guy in the lead. And, you know, it's so hard. He's trying to hold off 179 of the world's greatest riders by himself. They're all hiding behind a couple of guys on the front and just pedaling along whistling. And this guy at the front, he's got his head down and he's trying to do it. He's gambling that they will hesitate in the reaction. He knows if they react, they'll wipe him out. He's only 13 seconds ahead. But very often the infights start. Who is going to make the first move? Who will hunt him down and waste the energy while the others follow? And there's always that moment of hesitation. And boy, that guy's got the qualities to hold them off. He reminds me of his countryman, Vyacheslav Ekimov, who rode away from the bunch in 1991 at Macon and won.
Well, I tell you what, Vyacheslav Ekimov was extremely special bike rider, but when he won that stage into Macon, he took off with around about 5 kilometers to go. And to do that, to hold off a main field, you've got to be able to ride at around about 40 miles an hour. There's a new line of riders coming up alongside there. You can see Lance Armstrong once again comfortably in the main field, enjoying himself, he says. That's how he describes his participation in the Tour de France this year. But I noticed that Team Milram were moving up alongside Team Columbia. Now, strangely enough, last year Gerard Cholik just happened to be a teammate of Mark Cavendish, so maybe there's going to be a little bit of a revenge match on here.
Well, the thing was that with Mark on the team, Gerald Cholik wasn't getting too many big results. There they are, the boys in blue, and now they're looking to try and give Gerald Cholik a lead out to the line. There'll be a twist of irony there if he managed to get over the top of Mark Cavendish at the finish. Silence Lotto are also breaking in. They've got a good sprinter in Greg van Avermaet. He's also in his first Tour de France. That team is led by the Australian Cadel Evans. As we now under the 5 kilometre to go banner, and they're coming. just gone under 5 kilometers to go, and this young man has held them off for a couple of kilometers, but it's all over now. Ignatieff is swept aside by Team Columbia. HCT, we're down back to the sprinters.
Well, the sprinters there's two lines of sprinters on the left in the yellow, white and black. It's Team Columbia, HTC, the team of Mark Cavendish. In the pale blue and white over to the right-hand side, that is Team Milram. Thereafter, Gerard Cholik. None of the other big teams of the sprinters have yet got themselves organised. I'm looking, and I've just spotted the red, yellow and black jersey of the champion of Belgium. Right in the middle, moving and barging his way through there is big Tom Bonen.
Tom Bonen, there he is in the black top to his brand new national title jersey. He won it a week to go today for the first time, which is amazing because he's been a great bike rider out of Belgium. The line moving smoothly up on the yellow side. That's Team Columbia. The last man is Mark Cavendish. If you can't recognise Mark, try his number. It's 71. Milram are trying to guide through Gerald Cholik, his ex-teammate. Lamprey are getting in on the act now because they've got Daniela Benarte. They are the mauve and blue teams. This is going to be a great battle. Bert Grabsch is also in there as well, the World Time Trial champion. For the moment, sorry, that's Balland, of course, is the World Time Trial, World Road Race champion. But
Milram have got control on the front end of the main field for the moment, but once they get closer to the finish, you may well start to see the acceleration coming from Team Columbia. There's George Hincapie in the yellow and white sunglasses, just popping over the top, making sure he keeps his man Mark Cavendish out of danger, out of any possibility of being caught in an incident and slipping back down through the main field, because if you have to put your brakes on at this point in the race at 3 kilometers to go, you'll go from 5th position to 55th position and lose all chances of winning the bike race. Look how close everybody's now starting to get together inside of 3 kilometers to go. It's still Milram have got the control at the front end of the main field, but over on the left there's a new line starting to come up, and that's the team that was brought in as a wild card. That's Team Skill Shimano.
Well, they're going to have a little bit of luck and help if they're going to break through this lot right now. Team Milram seem to me as though they feel they've got the man on the team today. Michael Rogers is still in there as well. Milram and Team Columbia have got it, and you're right about Skill Shimano, Paul. They are trying to break into this. They have got the fast finishers, but people like Kenny Van Hummel, who's had a few wins this year, 4 indeed. Well, now we're losing the teammates now. They make the effort as fast as they can. The reason they keep the speed up is to stop the movement off the front of the pack. But you can only go so far. Amazingly, these guys are human. They get tired. When they get tired, they have to get out the way.
It's amazing that a rider can just give himself complete and utter devotion for his teammate, who he knows is sitting behind, and that's why a guy can ride on the front for around about 200-300 meters at 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. And yes, at 2 kilometers to go, once you are done, you just swing off and leave it up to somebody else. Now it's Columbia HCT on the front now, getting control once more. George Hincapie's up into about 4th position. Behind him, I would predict it's Mark Renshaw. Right. Behind Mark Renshaw, it's going to be Mark Cavendish.
The rush coming on the left again. Looks like Boyd Telecom are trying to break in on this too. The French setup. You can see the flashes on the arms there of Gerald Cholik, and they're bumping and barging. That's Tyler Farrar being brought to the front, off to the right of our picture in those orange jerseys. The American, now look at the anxious face of Cavendish. This is where you've got to be careful. This is about just over a kilometre out from the finish. That's the big split. Now it's eyes down for a big straight run in here as it all comes together on the other side of the roundabout. Chance for a reshuffle, and Michael Rogers has got control at the front now. Team Garmin, but Farrar is here, and Julian Dean too.
That's Julian Dean right in front of Farrar in the orange. Little bouncy and bargy going there. Julian Dean now has decided he's going to move to the front and see if he can get his American teammate up into an ideal position. It's Julian Dean and Danny Pater are going to try and lift up the pace, making bumping and barging, trying to get onto the wheel of George Hincapie.
There was a nasty kick in the middle there that pushed Tom Bonen over the road, but he's corrected it now. Cholik is on his shoulder. They've gone extremely wide there, and I think some have gone off the course. They went straight on. They didn't make the right-hander. The police had to jump for it. Slight split in the peloton now, but this is the final lead out. Cavendish sits 3rd wheel. This surely, Ferrari's tucked in on it. They have a little lead over the rest of the field. This is the bend they will come up. They will then see the line. It's Columbia, 1, 2, 3, the last lead out from Mark Renshaw. This is a formality for the Isle of Man, and now Cavendish is launched. The missile fires again. Nobody will get to him as he puts his head down. Tyler Farrar will ride in his slipstream, but now Cavendish is going to get his first win of 9 of the Tour de France 2009, and Tyler Farrar an excellent second place.
What a run into the finish that was. A little bit of chaos with about 750 meters to go, but you see Team Columbia High Road, Phil, they never panicked at all. They kept control at the front end of the main field. That's why you've got to keep your men in the first 15 to 20 places. This man is going to be a great sprinter over the next 10 years or so. Mark Cavendish getting his 5th stage victory at the Tour de France. That record for Great Britain of 8, Phil, is looking very attainable in 2009.
Well, it was just too perfect for words. It's in the great tradition of team sprinting, the days of Alessandro Petacchi, of Mario Cipollini, the big sprinters. This is the new boy now. He, as Paul said, has now won a 5th stage of the Tour de France and approaches Barry Hoban's record of 8. But it was so perfect, Paul. They could have almost have got 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Farrar, though, hats off to him. He used the Colombian team tactics, and it was almost good enough for him too.
And I tell you what, if it hadn't been for Julian Dean taking him through like a pile of fish, he wouldn't have got him right up to the wheel of Mark Cavendish there. But just look at this. This is the man they call the Manx Missile, the fastest man in the world. He says that when he looks in the mirror, he can't believe that he's a fast sprinter. Well, I tell you what, when you look at this image here, you realize this man is very fast indeed. He is a rapid sprinter. Whether it's from the front or the back, he knows exactly how to get the wins.
I think it was probably Romain Felieur there of Agri-Tubel, who just got himself into the 3rd place slot. The bells are ringing Sunday here in Brignoles. The race is now in town. There is Fabian Cancellara. He did well to stay out of that, but of course he finished in the group. Everybody gets the same time. He's making his way now, of course, behind the stands, where he will get his next yellow jersey. It's been confirmed that Feliu was in 3rd place. Torhushoff got the 4th. And what a good sprint by one of the only 2 Japanese riders in the race for B-Box. Arashiro has come home next. That's a very... I didn't know who he was, I admit. I couldn't see it. Now, this is the result of the prang-up as they made the right-hander. And we now have a candidate for the Olympic Games with that local policeman because he jumped well. Let's have another look at this now. Right in the middle, overshot. That's where it's time to move, boys, because somebody went straight on. Happily, and as far as we know, all okay. And they will all get the same time because that's why we have the rule of accidents in the closing 3 kilometers.
One of the riders involved in that crash, the rider just walking across the line there, was the big sprinter from Katusha. That was Danilo Napolitano.
Yeah.
And he was obviously caught up in that little bit of a moment when they went the wrong way. It didn't look to me as if it was that dangerous a corner. It was more of a sweeping bend than anything else. But it caught 1 or 2 out by surprise.
70 kilometers an hour, Paul. Yes, at 70 kilometers now, that is rather a special way to get round the bend. But at least Napolitano, where that crash happened, was too far back to have affected the result today, that's for sure. And we're just going to wait now to get everybody organised down there for the prize presentation. We're staying with the pictures. These are live, of course. We are now in the town of Brignoles for the very first time. And boy, is he fast or what? And the same has to be said for Tyler Farrar. His 1st Tour de France, remember. And he gets a fine 2nd place at the first chance he's had, the first road race stage of this year's event. And Tyler Farrar, I think, if he gets the card shuffle right, might well take a stage win before we get to Paris. And give the Garmin Slipstream something to be very pleased about, because they're still in the hunt for the next yellow jersey when we get to the team time trial on Tuesday. Well, we've shown you enough of the town. This is the Manx Missile winning his 1st stage of the 2009 Tour de France. We'll take a break, and when we come back, prizes, presentations, any interviews we can grab for you. Stay with us here live on Versus. See you in a moment.
I always want to do more. Always want to be better. I know without training, without the work, I won't be there, so that's my motivation. The equipment today, the level we are at, it's one of the most important things. We push it and we study it and we tweak it to the highest level possible. My tarmac is the fastest bike I had so far.
My name is Derek Berge. I'm in Los Angeles, getting honked at.
Quaker State wants to know, who has the world's worst commute?
74 miles, 4 hours. I have a sweaty, wet back, and it's 110 degrees. Speed limit, 65. Me, 5. My engine, not happy.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
I won.
Whoa, $1 million. That's about how much it's gonna take for me to fix this mess. This counts as your break, you know that, right?
Let the King change your life. Play Transform Your Way at Burger King now for a chance to win $1 million.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV.
It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
What's up, Kat? I'm reading an article about that new show, It's On, with Alexa Chung.
What? Alexa's live show will allow her to say and do whatever she wants.
True that.
Then why are you wasting your time?
Because that jacket she's wearing is fierce.
I saw it first.
It's On with Alexa Chung, weekdays at noon.
For 54 holes of Denver's most amazing mini-golf, powerful electric go-karts, and dueling dragsters, make it a day at Adventure Golf and Raceway. Come live the adventure today.
Welcome back. We're looking down on the town of Brignoles, a first on-time visit for the Tour de France after 187 kilometers coming in from Monaco. And the Manx missile was fired again to success today by his team Columbia. They brought the rider to the line. They launched him. Nobody could get near him. And he's got his first stage win in this year's Tour de France. He is a remarkable sprinter. Tyler Farrar grabbed his wheel but couldn't get past it. Neither could Roman Failure in third place in that blue jersey. Congratulations all round from the team that loves Mark because he delivers. Big hugs here for Michael Rogers of Australia, who did a lot of work in those closing kilometres. He seeks out all of the team one by one. Let's have a look then, see if we can find you the stage results so far. 4.5 hours today. Everybody given the same time. Farrar second. Failure was the blue jerseyed sprinter from Agri-Tubel. Torhushoff tried, made fourth. Brilliant result for Arashiro of the Boyd Telecom squad, getting fifth. Gerald Chorlick, we saw in his team trying to get him up. He was sixth. A nice ride by Nicholas Roach, the son of the 1987 Tour winner Stephen Roach. Up into eighth for him. Lloyd Mondry completing top 10. Good ride by Anilo Furlan too, getting 12th. Top 15 completed by Heinrich Hausler. Mark Renshaw was the lead-out man there, by the way, for Cavendish. Tony Martin, he was the other lead-out man. He came home 16th. George Hincapie, he was in the lead-out scene. He faded to 19th. Top 20 completed by Skill Shimano's Kenny Van Hummel. As we look out across the beautiful area here of the VAR, we'll see if we can bring you some of the highlights of the day's action while we're waiting now for the podiums to take place. Let's have a look then. The Cadillac Performance highlights. At the start, Lance Armstrong facing up to his first road race stage of the Tour de France since 2005. Christian Prudhomme, the race director, he wasn't then. Just seeing the riders safely away from Monaco in yellow. Fabian Cancellara, after his win yesterday, then crash. On the left of our picture there, one of the Tour favourites, Frank Schleck, on the ground. He was very slow to get up. He stayed around a little while. There was a little bit of concern, but then he was off and running. No sooner was he off and running, his own team car thought he'd have a go at knocking him off as well, but they failed and he continued on. I don't think he was too happy about that. Then a little bit further down the road, another shunt, this time a little bit bigger. Lying down on his face there is Royden Hailson in his first Tour de France from New Zealand for Cervelo. They all picked themselves up, though, and they all rejoined the big pack. All this was going on while there was 4 riders in the lead. This big shunt here came on the Col d'Ange, which was the last counting climb of the day. The lead group have been away for most of the day, and the rider on the front here in the white jersey, Jussi Veikkinen, he is the new leader in the King of the Mountains now. First ever Finnish rider to do that. Then it was time to organise the chase for the sprinters. Cervelo sent a man up to try and get Thor Hushovd home first. When they swept up the leaders, this man, Mikhail Ignatieff, he decided to go and try and win it on his own. And for a while, it looked as though he might. But there's the catch for the first 4 riders. Ignatieff was still ahead. Another couple of kilometres. Everybody together, lining up for the sprint. As we approached the finish at around about 70 kilometres an hour, there was a nasty right-hand bend. Some didn't make it. Oh, dear me. The policeman made it, though. They jumped to the left. Everybody was OK. Let's have another little look right in the middle. The poor Euskaltel rider touching the back wheel of a rider who actually kept on course and went down. So then we concentrated on the finish, and there was a little gap here because of the speed of the boys at the front. And look at Tyler Farrar try to grab the wheel of Mark Cavendish. Roman Failure tucked in behind him, Cholok fading fast. And then right on the line, nobody can get near this man. They could hold him, but they couldn't even get alongside him. So it was hugs and kisses for the man from the Alaman, for all of his team, and a way of saying thanks, guys. They deliver the first win. Just look at the speed of this man. Tyler Farrar is fast, but Mark Cavendish is approximately 4 lengths faster, it appears. No time bonuses in the Tour de France this year, otherwise you might have been pulling on a yellow jersey tonight. Cancellara finished in the group, and so that is our Cadillac performance highlights as we await now the presentation down there in the podiums. It's a beautiful town, by the way, Brignoles. We're catching little snippets of it here. This is the local church, just away off to our right from the finishing line. And well, we're just waiting now for the day's winners, Paul. Cancellara is the rider who will keep his yellow jersey. That was the plan. Once they got the close proximity of the breakaway, keeping Cancellara in yellow, then it was just a matter of letting the sprinters sort out the result.
No, it certainly was, and I have a feeling that Cancellara will be feeling fairly confident, Phil, because after all, he realises his team do have to ride a very good team time trial as well, because if he wants to transfer responsibility to Andy Schleck, well, they've got to be right up there when it comes down to the team time trial. But today, it was really very much about the sprinters. It's not a surprise that it came down to be a big bunch sprint at the end, but a bit of a surprise for 1 or 2 riders taking an exit at 700 metres to go.
Yes, a little bit of a nasty prank up. That's a different angle of the camera there. And the rider on the floor there was the Euskaltel Euskadi rider. I'm not too sure it was, number 83. 63, I think it was, Paul.
Fernandez.
So he's not a sprinter. He shouldn't have really got himself involved in that situation, I don't think. Still, as we all look over the lovely HUDs here, exciting, wasn't it? I thought that Farrar did everything he should do right, but if you give Mark Cavendish sight of that finishing line and he's in the lead, there's nobody ever gets past him.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is the Team Columbia Hire at HCT, they had a great organisation on the front end of the pack. They took the responsibility of leading the sprint out with around about 3 or 4 kilometres to go, and everybody else was really just battling on their wheel, battling for their slipstream to see if they were going to make a mistake. But guys like George Hincapie and Mark Renshaw don't make very many mistakes when it comes down to the last 2 or 3 kilometres of a bike race like that, and all Mark Cavendish had to do was just to sit there, and as long as he didn't make a mistake, nobody was going to beat him.
No, and we must give Tony Martin equal rights there, because the 4 of them were involved in that sprint, and they hung on for reasonable finishes in the bunch finish, but of course the man they wanted to win, well, he won. Win number 1. Well, he said earlier today, Paul, that he would consider his Tour de France a success if he finished in Paris and won 1 stage. He's done half it already.
Well, he's done what he came to do. And my quick...
So there you see the gap that opened very quickly. As others tried to get on terms as they run in towards the line. But the effort used to just catch the runaways, that was the end of the sprint really for Roman Failure. There he comes on the outside, right through, making plenty of room for himself, the way he's throwing his bike around. He got by everybody, but he couldn't match Tyler Farrar. He certainly couldn't he needed binoculars to see what happened to Mark Cavendish. Well, while we're waiting for the podium, the boys are cooling down. It's all about tomorrow as well now. We'll continue along the bottom coast. Eyes down to the bottom, heading towards Marseille now. La Grande Motte from Marseille is where we will finish, heading closer to Montpellier. We stay in the region of the beautiful Mediterranean, guaranteed to stay hot. Undulations along the road. We have a couple of little climbs. There they are. A few sprints along the way to save the boredom, and then down to 16 meters above sea level. Back to the podium. There we are. Mark Cavendish on the podium. As Cavendish now receives, he's never happier than when he's winning. It's about the only time you ever see him smile. Other than that, he's a very serious young man. You hear the voice there of Daniel Manjas, the most famous speaker of the Tour de France. He's done only 2 tours, I think, fewer than I have. Magnificent memory of facts and figures. Bernard Hinault, the 5 times winner, meeting the other dignitaries here now. I think everybody has been delighted with the finish here in Brignoles. Let's have a look at the overall standings here from Hampton Hotels and Alberto Contador. There's no change. They all got the same time. It's as it was this morning. 18 seconds to Contador, 19 to Wiggins, 22 to Cloden, 23 seconds to Cadel Evans. That's the time they lost to Cancellara in the time trial yesterday. Leipheimer holds on to 6th. Lance Armstrong contains his 10th place, looking for 40 seconds. Meanwhile, back on the podium, here he comes with his champion, the Road Race Championship jersey there of Switzerland. He now pulls on the Maillot Jaune for day 2 of the Tour de France. Everything's going just too perfect right now for the Saxo Bank team. Every plan they've laid has shown fruit. Remember that tomorrow, stage number 3, we go down to Marseille overnight, then we race to La Grande Motte, 122 miles. We will start our live coverage at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have our expanded coverage as well with Craig and Bob, 8 p.m. Eastern Time as well in the evening. Well, we've been treated to some great days already in the Tour de France. A beautiful start in Monaco for sure. A great time trial, a great winner there. And today, from the fastest time trialist to the fastest sprinter. They're not letting us down yet, these boys. Don't forget, we'll keep you up to date with tail stories and full results at versus.com. And don't forget to play our fantasy cycling game there as well. We have had a tremendous day of racing. I'll guarantee tomorrow will be also tremendous for everybody here on the Versus team in France, in Brignoles. We'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.